Hello everyone, Omnisensor here with What If I Was Reborn as the Flash, the fastest man alive, Part 3. If you enjoy this content, please smash the like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to check out the original story linked in the description. I hope you enjoy listening to it. Barry returns to Star Labs to find his team frantically running around, trying to extract the readings they got from Barry's suit. Barry stops right in the middle of the cortex, sending most of the papers flying. "What happened out there, Mr. Allen?" Dr. Wells asks, rolling closer to him. The whole team then looks at him for an explanation. Barry begins telling them everything that happened. After a few minutes, Caitlin approaches Barry and checks the wound on his neck. There is not even a mark left behind. No one would believe that Barry was just shot at. The only proof is the hole in his suit. "You won't believe this." Cisco suddenly walks in with a tablet in his hand. He then transfers the content of the tablet to a larger screen. "The bullets that were fired at you were traveling at Mach 6, Cisco says with an excited smile. "Mach 6? Is there a gun out there that can shoot a bullet at that speed?" Barry asks. "None, meaning the gun used to shoot you was a custom one," Cisco says. "But the most impressive thing that happened today was not the speed of the bullet, but you. Your hands moved 14 times the speed of sound to stop the bullet, just as it was about to penetrate your skin," Cisco says with even more excitement. "Well, running and moving my hands at that speed are two completely different things," Barry says. "If you say it that way, then it doesn't sound that impressive," Cisco says as the smile on his face fades. "But it's still the fastest you have ever moved." "It's progress," Dr. Wells says, "but the thoughts inside his head are something else. He is getting too fast, too quick. I need to make my move soon," Dr. Wells thinks. "What I am more curious about is how someone managed to shoot at me while I was running at super speed." Barry questions the team. "There could be multiple factors," Dr. Wells says. "Maybe this shooter has enhanced vision," Cisco says. "It's possible. It also explains why you couldn't find him. He must have been much farther away. The shooter could have seen you and predicted where you would be before shooting. Whoever this shooter is, he is dangerous. You need to be careful, Mr. Allen," Dr. Wells says. Caitlin and Cisco get worried as they hear Dr. Wells' warning. "But why me? Is this shooter related to tonight's robbery?" Barry asks. "We will need to figure it out. You should start tomorrow, Mr. Allen," Dr. Wells says. Barry nods and bids farewell to his team and heads home. The next morning, he arrives at CCPD and finds Joe. "So those car thieves last night, were they the regular suspects?" Barry asks. "Yes, they are quite a notorious group who have built a reputation for dodging the authorities until they met the Flash," Joe says, smiling at Barry. "Would you look at that? Looks like I have a fan in front of me," Barry teases Joe. "Don't get over your head," Joe says, dismissing Barry's comment while still smiling. "Is there anything else they are involved in, or just Grand Theft Auto?" Barry asks. "Why? Is there anything I don't know about?" Joe asks. "No, just asking," Barry says. "Come on, Barry. I know when you are trying to hide something from me, so out with it," Joe says, giving him that questioning look. "Well, I suspect a Meta was involved with the robbery last night. I just wanted to make sure," Barry says. "A Meta? What is it this time?" Joe asks. "I don't know. That is what we are trying to figure out," Barry says. He is not sure if this assassin of his is a Meta or not, but it's better to tell Joe it's a Meta so that he cooperates with him. "Well, there was something weird about last night's robbery," Joe says as he recalls the scene of the robbery. "What is it?" Barry asks. "Those cars belonged to some rich elite who had hired the best relocators in the business. The security was extremely tight, so it was quite surprising that the thieves from last night managed to get their hands on those cars. They are good, but they are just thieves. They had never killed people before. But last night, it was carnage. Every security personnel was killed, shot right between their eyebrows. Someone took out the security personnel before the thieves got there," Joe says. "Do you know the type of gun that was used?" Barry asks. "Some kind of high-powered sniper rifle. Every bullet went in and came out from the other end," Joe says. "It's him," Barry thinks. "Do you know who this shooter is?" Barry asks. "No idea. We believe the thieves hired this killer to take out the security for them. We need to investigate further. I will let you know when I find out more," Joe says. "Thank you." Barry thanks him and heads to his lab. He can now only hope that Joe can find something for him. His super speed is not going to help him regarding integration. Barry couldn't do anything regarding finding out the identity of his assassin. But wait, as Joe finished his interrogation, the only thing he could do is help the people of this city, catch some criminals, and save people from peril. Other than Joe, Team Flash were also trying to figure out the identity of our assassin, Cisco hacked into the CCPD database to find anything that could relate the assassin to the car thieves other than the Grand Theft Auto attempt that night, but they are down on their luck, they couldn't find anything. Barry became hyper-vigilant about his surroundings as the threat of someone getting the jump on him cannot be ignored. Barry is not worried about his safety because he is immortal. He just wants to catch his almost killer and figure out who is after him. The day flies by, with Barry keeping himself busy between work and superhero work. Another day, and Barry is back in his lab working on some case files when Joe walks in. Noticing him, Barry stops his work and gets up from his chair. "So, did you get anything?" Barry asks. "The thieves say that they were told to steal those cars by someone else," Joe says. "By whom?" Barry asks. "No idea. They say they were approached by a guy in a mask. He told them about the cars, instructed them to steal them and drive away after the security was dealt with," Joe explains. "That's it?" Barry asks. "Well, they were told to deliver the stolen car to a warehouse at the outskirts of the city. I sent a few guys there, they found nothing. It's a dead end," Joe says, defeated. Barry is also not happy about this outcome. From what he has learned till now, it looks like someone hired these robbers to steal those cars just to get the Flash's attention. "Looks like I really was the target from the very beginning," Barry thinks. He was still doubtful about someone coming after him. He thought that this sniper could be someone hired to assist the car thieves, but he was wrong. Whoever the mastermind is behind this Grand Theft Auto attempt and his assassination attempt is definitely after the Flash, using the car theft as a way to lure him out and then kill him. After talking to Barry for a few more minutes, Joe leaves, and Barry gets back to work. Using super speed, he finishes all of his work early and hands them over to Captain Singh before heading to Star Labs. Barry informs the team about Joe's interrogation results, causing worry amongst them, especially Caitlin, as she doesn't want another death of someone close to her. "Maybe you should stay in Star Labs for a few days," she suggests. "Don't worry, whoever this guy is, he is after the Flash, not Barry Allen. I will be fine," Barry reassures her. Barry is right. "Let him continue living his regular life while we try to figure out who our assassin is," Dr. Wells says, and gets to work with Cisco. Right now, the thing that matters most to him is Barry's safety, because without Barry's help, he cannot return home. If anyone is going to kill Barry Allen, the Flash, it will be him. As the two leave, leaving Caitlin alone with Barry, she approaches him with concern. "Are you really okay?" she asks. "I am fine, don't worry," Barry reassures her. "Are you not afraid?" Caitlin asks as she finds Barry's attitude towards the possibility of him getting killed quite carefree. If it was her, she would be freaking out. "Actually, no. Day by day I get stronger and faster, and I feel fearless. It's like death itself won't be able to catch me," Barry says, sharing his inner thoughts with her. Caitlin hears Barry's words, and her concern grows. The way Barry is talking makes it seem as if he is becoming something else, but she doesn't know how to explain it. And just like that, another day goes by, leaving Team Flash clueless about their next step. Barry is once again back to work in CCPD. Today is a busy day for Barry, as case files after case files are being piled up on his desk. Luckily, he has super speed to balance his real work and superhero work. Iris comes to meet him. They talk for a bit before she leaves with her boyfriend, which is now a known topic around CCPD. Joe's daughter is dating his partner. Iris and Eddie came out to Joe when Iris realized that she is very serious about this relationship. But Joe already knew about them. He is a detective, after all. It just feels like any other normal day to Barry when suddenly the police radio in his lab starts buzzing. Barry's eyes snap big as he hears the emergency, a bomb threat at the mall. Barry immediately puts on his suit and runs towards the Central City Mall with incredible speed. Barry suddenly stops, as he is already on top of the mall, and contacts the team. "Guys, I am on top of the mall. What's happening?" Barry asks as he looks down. He doesn't want to rush in without knowing the full situation. "Barry, I just hacked into the mall's security cameras. Someone found an explosive right in the middle of the mall, and it's a serious one," Cisco says, worried. "How serious is it?" Barry asks as he looks down to find the police and the bomb squad finally arriving at the scene. "The energy coming off this thing, it's some serious shit. It will wipe out the entire mall and everyone inside it," Cisco says. Barry's frown deepens, as this is more serious than he thought. The Central City Mall is massive, covering 70,000 square meters of land. "What about the people inside? What's happening?" Barry asks. "I hacked into the mall's cameras. The people are panicking and are not able to get out. All the doors and exits of the mall are shut. Whoever is doing this must have hacked into their entire system, locking them all in. This is bad, Barry, Cisco says. Can you hack into it? Barry asks as he continues to watch the police make their move. They have also realized that every entrance into the mall has been shut down, and they are trying to get in. Barry! He suddenly hears Caitlin's voice. What is it? He asks. Quick, find a TV, you need to listen to this, Caitlin says. Barry looks around, trying to find a TV, when suddenly, the large digital billboard that's installed across the mall turns on, showing the local news channel. On it is a man wearing a white mask that only has one red-colored lenses as an eye hole, and a red and white full bodysuit. I don't usually do this. Most of the time, I only need a single bullet to end my victims, and no one is wiser about my presence, but you managed to survive me twice. So Flash, you have only one option. You stand in front of the mall and take my bullet, or everyone inside the mall dies, the masked man says. And instantly, the crowd inside the mall start to panic even more. They too heard the masked man's words, and it couldn't be much clearer. It was the cost of many lives for the price of one. If this Flash doesn't sacrifice himself, thousands will die. They want nothing more than this Flash to sacrifice himself, but how can they trust a stranger to sacrifice himself? Most people inside the mall believe this is their last moment. Barry saw the man on the big screen and began contemplating what he should do. And don't try to find me. I am far enough to see you coming. The moment you try to get close to me is the moment everyone dies. The man threatens, showing a remote in his hand with a bright red trigger on it. Guys, I plan to remove the bomb from the mall. I will run in and carry it out before throwing it up in the sky. Barry relays his plan to his team. How do you plan to get in? Cisco asks. I will just run in with enough speed. I should be able to shatter the glass, Barry says. That won't do. Glass shattering at such speed will turn into deadly projectiles. They could easily puncture, or even kill the innocent civilians trapped inside, Caitlin says. Then how do I get in? Barry asks. He, for once, doesn't even consider the masked man's offer, because there is no way he is going to die. He is immortal. So when the bullet is unable to kill him, the masked man might just trigger the bomb, killing thousands. He is not going to take such a risk. Barry, you need to phase through the walls. Suddenly, Dr. Wells speaks up. That's it, phasing. Barry realizes that he can run through the walls of the mall without breaking or shattering them. And he is more than fast enough to do it. He just doesn't know how to do it yet, because he has never practiced it. Also, it would be suspicious of him to learn to phase before Dr. Wells teaches it to him. Phasing? Barry asks, as if he is completely clueless about it. If you vibrate fast enough, you should be able to slip your molecules through the space between two foreign molecules, allowing you to run through anyone without stopping, or you breaking something in the process, Dr. Wells explains. Is that even possible? Cisco asks. It is, Barry. I believe in you. You can do this, Dr. Wells says. Okay, here goes nothing. Barry takes a deep breath out of habit and enters flash time. He doesn't need to connect to the Speed Force. He is the Speed Force. He is a living god. This should be as easy as breathing. With this mindset, Barry runs down the mall and begins circling it at super speed. He feels his entire being charged up by his own power, lighting coursing through his veins. He speeds up, breaking the sound barrier. Barry feels his body enter a state of excitement. Every molecule in his body starts to vibrate at incredible speed, and with full confidence in himself, he turns and makes the run directly into the thick glass wall of the mall. The police feel helpless because of their current situation. They don't know how they are going to save the people locked inside the mall, and after seeing the video play, they become more desperate. Some of them who still don't believe the Flash exists start praying for his arrival, because, without the Flash, thousands of people who are trapped inside will die. Joe is in the front, standing with a worried look on his face. Unlike the other officers, he doesn't want Barry to come. Yes, it's selfish, but he doesn't want his adopted son to sacrifice himself. Suddenly, there is a loud boom that catches everyone's attention, and before their eyes, the police officers and everyone gathered in front of the mall see a long streak of white lightning suddenly surround the ball. Everyone present can't believe their eyes. They see the storm of lighting moving in circles around the mall. He is real, Eddie murmurs as he finally sees it with his own eyes. Even though he cannot see the Flash as he is moving too fast, the lightning trail is still present for them to witness. His girlfriend has been telling him about this Flash for weeks now, and he never believed her, and now he has no choice but to believe. And then suddenly, the storm of lightning disappears without a trace. After gathering enough speed and vibrating every molecule in his body so fast that he could actually feel himself entering a state of nothingness, Barry took a sharp turn and ran directly toward the glass wall of the mall. In a nanosecond, he was already in front of the glass wall, and he could only hope for success. And then it happened. He saw himself running through the glass wall without shattering it. It was as if he didn't exist at all. His entire being felt like it's in an astral state. As soon as Barry got in, he saw the faces of the panicked crowd. Hundreds of people, trying to push each other out of the way so that they could make it to the exit, hoping that they might find a way to escape. If this continues, there will definitely be a stampede. Barry can see children among the crowd, and they will definitely be the very first victims of the stampede. He has to take action now. Barry, in flash time, rushes to the middle of the mall and finds the bomb. It's a miniature nuclear fusion bomb. This just shows that whoever Barry is dealing with is one twisted man, and he needs to put a stop to him. Without giving a second thought, Barry runs up to the bomb and removes it from its stand, when suddenly Barry sees the light coming off the bomb actively start to get brighter. He realizes that it's about to explode. But Barry is a lot faster than an explosion. Barry immediately runs away with the bomb, vibrating his body so fast that his molecules enter a state of excitement. But it is not just his body. He transfers his momentum to the bomb in his hand and makes it vibrate at the same frequency as his body. While vibrating along with the bomb, Barry runs directly through the wall and out of the mall in an instant. The bomb in his hand gets more volatile, and he has very little time to deal with it, even for a speedster. But Barry has a lot of speed to spare. He runs even faster, running at speeds his team has not seen him run at. Barry runs an incredible distance away from the mall with the bomb in his hand, and just as he feels the bomb is about to explode, he tightens his fingers around it, pulls it back, and then with incredible speed, throws the bomb up in the sky. The miniature nuclear fusion bomb cube cuts through the atmosphere at the speed of Mach 10. The bomb reaches high up in the sky and explodes right above Central City, grabbing everyone's attention. The people of Central City watch the explosion light up the morning sky even brighter. The fireball expands over 50,000 meters square in area. If this bomb had exploded inside the mall, it would have completely wiped out everyone inside and the mall itself. But Flash saved the day. Barry stops running and watches the explosion light up the sky. "Barry! Barry!" He hears his team call for him through the intercom in his suit. "Yeah, I am fine, I did it," Barry replies back. Barry returns to Star Labs and is immediately greeted by an excited team. "Good day," Cisco says, approaching Barry, and they do their unique handshake. "You killed it out there. Who would have thought you could run through walls?" Cisco says excitedly. "Indeed, who could have thought?" Barry says, looking at Dr. Wells while he looks back at Barry with a smile. "Also another good news," Cisco says. "Did you figure out who the masked man is?" Barry asks, grabbing Cisco's shoulders with eagerness. "Well, not that good of a news, but you hit Mach 4, your highest speed ever," Cisco says, with the biggest smile on his face. "That's indeed great," Barry says, while trying to sound as excited as possible, though he knows that Mach 4 is nothing compared to what he can actually do. "You don't sound so excited," Cisco says, and he notices that Barry is not that thrilled about his new speed achievement. "Though I would love to celebrate getting faster, our main priority should be figuring out who this masked man is and why does he want me dead," Barry says. Barry is right. If Dr. Wells didn't come up with the idea of phasing, Central City would be mourning the deaths of thousands right now, Caitlin says with great concern. "Yeah, we need to catch our assassin, but how do we do that? We know nothing of him," Cisco says, showing concern as well. "His name is Deadshot." A deep, raspy, brooding-sounding voice suddenly grabs everyone's attention. "He goes by Deadshot!" A deep, raspy, brooding-sounding voice suddenly grabs everyone's attention. Everyone immediately turns around to see who this voice belongs to. "AA tilde," Caitlin suddenly yells out, frightened, and almost falls as she rolls her ankle. But Barry immediately grabs onto her arm and stops her fall. Cisco is speechless, his eyes wide and his mouth gaping open. His jaw has never dropped this low in his entire life, not even after being witness to superhuman activities all over the city. "Holy shit, it's Batman!" Cisco shouts, pointing his finger at the man clad from head to toe in black. "Barry, tell me I am hallucinating," Cisco asks, as he can't take his eyes off Batman. "No, you are not hallucinating, Cisco," Barry says with a sigh. He didn't expect Batman to give him a visit so soon. "Holy shit, Batman's real, I can't believe it," Cisco begins murmuring to himself while he gets lost in his own thoughts. Just like Cisco, Caitlin is also shocked, But she is not as expressive as Cisco when it comes to displaying his feelings. As for Dr. Wells, he keeps his calm even in front of Batman because this is not the first time he has seen Batman. They are, after all, destined to be enemies as they are related to Barry. One is Barry's sworn enemy, and the other is a very close friend whom Barry can trust with his life. Just like how Team Flash is taking their time coming to terms with the existence of Batman and observing him, Batman, too, has his eyes on Team Flash. His sharp eyes quickly calculate the three people before him, other than Barry, and he quickly comes up with a surface-level reading of the three. Having already done the research on Dr. Wells, Cisco, and Caitlin before coming here, his assessment of Cisco and Caitlin stands. They pose a very low threat, but should not be underestimated, as they are bright minds in their fields. But when it comes to Dr. Wells, the alarm inside Batman's head goes off. Before coming here, he had already found Dr. Wells' identity a little questionable. But to come to a complete conclusion, he needs much more than just some circumstantial evidence. Batman trusts his instincts more than anything, and what his instincts are telling him right now is to be wary of the man in the wheelchair. The reason Batman came to this conclusion is because of how calm Dr. Wells is before him. A normal human would at least be startled by his sudden appearance, but Dr. Wells didn't even twitch a muscle on his face when he saw Batman. This was the mistake. Dr. Wells forgot he was in front of a man who is always paranoid and extremely aware of his surroundings. "Tell us about this Deadshot," Dr. Wells asks, but he probably already had an idea about who was trying to kill Barry. Who could have a better understanding of the current situation than the man from the future? Deadshot is an extremely dangerous mercenary, usually hired for assassination, and now he is after the Flash, Batman says. Everyone in the room immediately tenses up as the identity of Barry's assassin is revealed. "But who would want me dead?" Barry asks. From what he can think of, he has still not crossed anyone who would want him dead. As for the criminals he has captured are all behind bars, so it cannot be them. "It's related to you being in Gotham. War? Saving me," Batman says. Team Flash is caught off guard by hearing this. They never knew that Barry went to Gotham. "You went to Gotham? When?" Caitlin asks. "I was taking a run and decided to visit the infamous city. I wanted to see if it really looks like what people described it to be," Barry says. A white lie. Though he did go for a run, he ended up there by accident as he was running too fast. "How come I didn't get updated on your coordinates?" Cisco asks. "Well, I didn't have my suit on," Barry says. "That's very irresponsible of you, Barry. What if someone had seen you use your powers without your suit on?" Caitlin says, trying to be strict on him again. "Come on, I am too fast for anyone's eyes. No one saw me," Barry says. "Someone did," Cisco says, pointing at Batman, as everyone in this room right now knows the true identity of the Flash. "No, he didn't. He already knew who I was," Barry says, while smiling awkwardly. This statement surprised Cisco and Caitlin, not so much Dr. Wells, as he already knows just how good Batman is when it comes to being a detective. "How is that even possible?" Cisco asks. "Guys, this is not important right now. What's important is finding out why this Deadshot guy is after me," Barry says, trying to change the subject. Cisco and Caitlin shut up and look back at Batman, waiting for him to continue. "Like I was saying, Barry was in Gotham and he saved me when I was in trouble. This made some people angry, so they hired Deadshot to kill you," Batman says. "So the Joker hired Deadshot to kill me?" Barry asks. "No, it's not the Joker. It's the Court of Owls," Batman says with a serious tone. "The Court of Owls?" Barry questions, as he might have heard of this name from the comic books, but he doesn't remember it. "That's a serious badass name," Cisco says. Everyone ignores his words. "Who are these Court of Owls? And why do they want me dead? And how is it related to me helping you?" Barry asks. The Court of Owls is a powerful criminal organization of the Gotham underworld, and they consist of some of the most powerful and richest people in Gotham, and they control the city from the dark. It was they who helped Joker escape Arkham, knowing that once out, Joker would try to kill me as I am trying to bring them to light. You running in and saving me makes them believe that you are my ally. And knowing your powers, they consider you the biggest threat to their existence, so they want you dead," Batman explains. As Barry learns this, he is surprised by how easily one can want someone dead. Barry did nothing to the Court of Owls, but they still want him dead because they fear him. It does make sense. Fear is the most genuine emotion one can have, and it will drive people to do unspeakable things. And Barry, with his power, is one very frightening being. "How did you know they sent Deadshot after me?" Barry asks. "On the hunt for their trial, I stumbled upon a weapon deal gone wrong. It was a setup for Deadshot to acquire the plasma bomb. After looking into Deadshot, I found out that he was paid a lot to kill a certain someone in Central City. I figured it was you, so I came as quickly as I could. But it looks like you have things handled," Batman says as he sees how Barry managed to deal with the plasma bomb. "Well, we still don't know where this Deadshot guy is. Maybe you can help us," Barry suggests. Who better than the world's best detective to sniff out a very slippery assassin? Batman just stares at Barry, making everyone in the room feel a chill. Cisco and Caitlin, influenced by Batman's intimidating cold stare, cower behind Barry. "Fine, but I work alone. I will give you the heads up when I find him," Batman says and turns his back. "We could help you know. It's my life he is after," Barry says. Batman pauses, gives it some thought and speaks. "No." He then leaves as if he was never there in the first place. Silence stays in the room for a few seconds before someone finally speaks up. "Holy shit, that was scary." Cisco is the first one to break. He takes a deep breath while holding his chest. "I have never been this scared in my whole life," Caitlin says while holding onto her chest as well. "The coldness in his eyes, he could freeze Captain Cold with that stare," Cisco says. "Come on guys, he's not that scary," Barry says as he sees more than just what Batman is on the surface. "Hey dude, that was scary. What do you think, Dr. Wells?" Cisco asks. Everyone turns their head to look at Wells, waiting for his response. "I will admit, he is scary," Dr. Wells says, and he is speaking from experience because he knows that there is nothing mere about that mortal. "Well, at least we now know who wants Barry dead, and as much as I want to think that this Dark Knight can resolve our problem, I would like for us to take action ourselves and not rely on others," Dr. Wells says, earning the nods of Caitlin and Cisco. "What do you think, Mr. Allen?" Dr. Wells asks. "Sure, let's find Deadshot," Barry says. Team Flash immediately gets to work. Now that they know the identity of the assassin, it is much easier to scour through the deep net in search of his information. Cisco hacks into government databases in search of anything related to Deadshot and finds a lot, and I mean a lot of information, mostly regarding his victims. As for any personal information related to him, there is almost none. The guy is a ghost. He has nothing tying him to the past and present. Once in a while, he surfaces, takes a job, finishes it, and goes radio silent. To this day, no one has caught him. They find out that Deadshot has never missed a shot in his life. Every time he shoots, his target dies. The only reason Barry is alive right now is that he can move faster than any bullet. Barry watches his team put their all in trying to find anything that can lead them to Deadshot, but as much faith he has in his team, he has more faith in Batman, and he is 99% sure that it's going to be Batman who finds Deadshot first. Just like Barry, Dr. Wells also knows that their effort is all for nothing. No matter how smart he is, when it comes to detective work, very few can match Batman. Somewhere in Central City, the infamous assassin Deadshot is having a conversation with someone over a burner phone. "I couldn't get the job done. He is just too fast. I need something faster to bring him down." The man in the white mask, Deadshot, speaks into the phone, opening square bracket ... closing square bracket. "Look, if you want him dead, I need more money. This target is beyond anything I have ever dealt with. Get me a gun that's fast, and the money. The job will be done," Deadshot says. Opening square bracket ... closing square bracket. The call ends. Deadshot crushes his burner phone and throws it away. "I shouldn't stay in one place, or I might get found," he murmurs and begins packing up. Somewhere in Gotham, a group of people wearing white owl-shaped masks is having a meeting. "This is a waste of time and resources. We should just send one of our Talons to get the job done," a member says. "Are you an idiot? What is a Talon going to do against a man who can move faster than the speed of sound? We hired the assassin because of his special abilities," another member chimes in. "I still believe we should capture this Flash and make him our weapon. Imagine with his powers we can accomplish so much more," another member suggests. "But how do we do that?" The members continue to discuss. "Enough!" An old woman in a wheelchair finally speaks, shutting everyone down. "We do as we were requested. Find a weapon that's fast enough to take down this Flash and hand it over to Deadshot. We will then wait and see what happens. If the Flash dies, it's for the best. If he survives..." "I heard that there are more just like him out there," the old lady says, bringing a smile to everyone's face, but none can be seen as they are hidden behind their owl masks. It has been 2 days since Team Flash saw the infamous Batman. In these 2 days, Team Flash tried their best to uncover anything that could help them track down Deadshot, but they quickly figured out why no one has been able to track him down all these years. Deadshot is very slippery. He doesn't stay in one place for more than a day. He keeps moving. He doesn't carry anything with him that can be tracked. He doesn't leave behind any digital trail. As for Barry, he has been running around being the Flash, saving people. By now, almost everyone in the city knows that the Flash is real, because he managed to save thousands of people from being victims of a bomb blast. The victims, the police, and the news reporters present at the scene all saw the lightning storm Barry conjured up while running around the mall before running away with the bomb and tossing it up in the air. With the bomb threat out of the way, the police were able to rescue the people inside the mall, foiling Deadshot's plan. Now that the entire city knows of his existence, a man who can run faster than the speed of sound is living among them. Most of them are excited because a real superhero is running amongst them, while a few are worried and scared as they see beyond the glamour. A man with superpowers. How can they know they can trust him? What if he decides to go bad? How will the city protect them from something that normal weapons can't deal with? And all these are genuine questions that have a lot of validity to them. While some might praise him for his heroic actions, others blame him, as it is his existence that put those people in danger in the first place. Barry is in jitters with his usual in hand, sitting there while looking at his phone, reading the headline on the CCN site. Though it has been 2 days, he is still the talk of the town. Everywhere he goes, he hears people talking about him. Most are excited to know that he exists, but he has also come across some who have shown concern. The Flash, friend or foe, the headline reads. I can't believe there are people who think the Flash is the problem, Iris says, frustrated while drinking her coffee. Well, people can have their own view regarding this matter, Barry says. He is not going to sit here and defend himself because he knows there is truth to what these people are saying. If Deadshot wasn't so adamant on killing him, he wouldn't have pulled this stunt. How is this the Flash's fault? He didn't know that this psycho would go as far as to threaten thousands of people just so he could kill the Flash. And even after that, Flash showed up to save those people, knowing he could die in the process. Who else but a hero puts his life before others? Iris questions, frustrated. Barry smiles, seeing that his friend turned out to be his biggest supporter, even though she doesn't know it is him. He doesn't say anything, and lets Iris rant for a few more minutes on how the people who are blaming the Flash are a bunch of ungrateful assholes. By the way, I am thinking about putting my name on the blog, Iris suggests, which almost makes Barry spit his drink out. You can't be serious, Barry questions. He knew this day would come, but not right now. He didn't even goad her into it. She came up with the idea herself. Has this woman lost her mind? There is a dangerous assassin out there wanting to kill Flash, and she wants to put her name in the blog? Barry thinks to himself while staring at Iris in disbelief. I am going to put my name on my blog, Iris says with a big, proud smile on her face. You can't do that, Barry says. And why not? Iris asks, almost offended that Barry wants to stop her from doing something she wants. Why not? You ask why not? There is a literal psychopath out there wanting to kill the Flash, so tell me what will happen when you put your name on a blog related to the Flash? Barry questions her. As Iris gives it some thought, she realizes that she can be putting herself in danger, but being the stubborn woman she is not going to back down from doing what she wants. I don't care. This is my chance to take myself seriously. If I want to do this journalism thing for real, I need to take this risk, Iris says. Taking risks doesn't mean putting your life on the line, Barry says. Iris is pissed seeing how Barry is not supporting her choice, so she decides to not talk about this any further. She just gets up and storms off angrily. Seeing this, Barry sighs. Women, he thinks while sipping his coffee. Suddenly his phone buzzes, and he has a message from an unknown number. Meet me at your place, Bat. He didn't seriously put a bat emoji, Barry thinks as he sees the emoji at the end of the message in disbelief. Well, let's see what he has for me, Barry says, and walks out of jitters before turning into a blur and running back to his apartment. You know I could have figured out it was you without the bat emoji, Barry says as he runs into his room and shows the message sent to him by Batman, who is already waiting for him inside his room. Batman just grunts at Barry's statement. No one knows what's going on inside that bat brain of his. So what did you find? Barry asks, seeing that Batman is in no mood for jokes. He is going to make his move soon. I managed to intercept a message between the Court of Owls and an underground weapons dealer. They were trying to get their hands on a weapon that can kill you, Batman says. I don't know if a weapon like that exists. Barry says this because he is immortal. That's what I thought, but then I found something. The organization is called the Black Hole. They are an underground criminal organization known for international arms deals and assassinations, and it looks like they do have something that can kill you, Batman says, his tone grim. And what's that? Barry asks, curious. An infrared photon gun. It's able to shoot at the speed of light. Barry finishes his sentence. Indeed, even you won't be able to dodge it, Batman says. Debatable, but let's keep this to myself for the time being, Barry thinks, as he doesn't want to tell Batman that he can probably run faster than the speed of light. He just hasn't tried it yet. So this black hole, do they really have such a gun? Barry questions. Even though he is not afraid of this gun, he is worried about it being used by the wrong people. A weapon that can shoot at the speed of light is extremely dangerous. No amount of armor can save someone if they get hit by something like this. From what I have figured out, yes they do. The weapon is developed by McCulloch Technologies, Batman says. Barry is surprised by how much Batman has already figured out, but he expects nothing less from the Caped Crusader. So is Deadshot already in possession of this weapon? Barry asks. He is worried that Deadshot might use this on someone, and him not being able to save them. Saving someone from a speeding bullet? Sure, it can be done very easily, but saving someone from a light projectile that travels at the speed of light, it's hard. Plus, he still doesn't know what repercussions it will have for the world around him if he runs faster than the speed of light. Sure, he won't be affected as he has become the Speed Force itself, but what about others? He doesn't know. He needs a much deeper understanding of his own powers. I am afraid so. I tried to intercept this deal, but I was too late. Deadshot got there before I did, and killed the person delivering the weapon to him. I couldn't get any information from there, Batman says. So, how do we deal with this? Barry asks. As smart as he is, he should leave the strategizing part to Batman. We wait, Batman says. He will resurface again and cause a commotion to lure you out. That is when we will make a move, Batman says. And how do we locate him? With a photon gun, he can take a shot from even farther than before, Barry says. Leave that to me, Batman says, and tries to take his leave. Come on, you can't hide information from me when I am the one whose life is in danger, Barry says. When Deadshot tries to lure you out, go. I will take care of the rest, he says, and jumps out of the window before disappearing into the darkness. He could have just used the door, Barry thinks. I should relay the plan to the team, Barry says, and runs to Star Labs. So that's it, that's the plan? Cisco questions it as he finds the plan too simple. Yeah, that's what he told me to do, Barry says. I don't like this. You said Deadshot has an infrared photon gun. Even you are not fast enough to dodge that. It's too dangerous, Caitlin says, worried. I have to do it, or he might pull the same stunt as last time. I can't allow this lunatic assassin to go around threatening the city just to get at me, Barry says. I am with Caitlin. I don't trust this Batman. Dr. Wells finally speaks up. And I believe you should keep your distance from him as well, Mr. Allen. From what I have heard, this man is dangerous and has quite a reputation back in his city. He shouldn't be here in the first place, Drivewell says. He has been on the edge of his wheelchair ever since Batman showed up, because he knows just how notorious that man is. Even a slight mistake from him, and Batman will sniff it out and expose him. I know, but he also has a code that he lives by. I know I can trust him, and unless any of us can come up with a better plan, this is the only way, Barry says. Team Flash looks at each other, trying to come up with a better plan, but none can think of any, forcing them to trust the plan the Caped Crusader has provided. Barry knew that his team might not approve of this plan, but he knew better, and even though he is putting a little too much trust in Batman, he has a failsafe. He is an immortal. Even if he gets shot by this gun, he will not die. So he is willing to take this risk so that innocent people don't get dragged into this once again. He can finally put this lunatic, Deadshot, behind bars. With no other option but to wait for Deadshot to make his move, Barry busied himself with work and running around, aiding people in need. Team Flash still tried to find Deadshot, but a man who has been evading the entirety of the world's government and its bureaus for years, how can just 3 people find him? Another day is about to come to an end. People are heading home back from work after a long, busy day. Even with everything that is happening around the city, the people continue to move on with their lives. Barry is currently sitting on top of a tall building, looking over the city. With all the city lights under the night sky, it looks very beautiful. No one would believe that such a beautiful city is the epicenter of chaos. But he also knows the reason why this city is this chaotic. It's because he lives in a world of comic books, where common sense doesn't make sense. Barry? He suddenly hears Cisco's voice in his ear, and he seems panicked. Cisco, what's going on? Barry asks. Deadshot. He is back, Cisco says, immediately alerting Barry. Deadshot? Where is he? Barry asks. I don't know. It's just another video feed from him. He is asking you to be at city center. He also has hostages with him. Cisco says, panic in his voice. Hostages? How many? Where are they? Barry asks. We don't know. He has a few hostages beside him in the video. He is saying that if you don't stand still at the city center plaza, he is going to execute the hostages one by one, Cisco says, worried. All right, I will go there, Barry says. No, don't go. You know it's a trap. You will die. Even you are not fast enough this time, please. This time, it's Caitlin who speaks, and Barry can hear the fear in her voice. Fear of losing another person in her life because of such sacrificial choices. Sorry, Caitlin, but I need to go, Barry says and runs. And at this speed, communication is useless, so no matter how much Caitlin is begging him not to go, he can't listen. With great speed, the Flash arrives before the city center plaza. A large crowd has already gathered, watching the video playing on the massive billboard. They watch as the crazed, masked psychopath once again threatens the lives of innocent civilians in exchange for Flash's life. Seeing that there is no other way out of this, Barry knows he has to stop and become visible to everyone, so that Deadshot can also see him, so stops, right in the middle of the plaza, immediately garnering gasps and shock from the people around. This is the very first time the Flash is before the people. They can see him in his signature red suit, but they cannot see his face, as his face is just a blur of red. Camera flashes immediately go wild as people begin taking his photo, but his only concern is Deadshot and the hostages. Come on, Batman, now is your time. Don't fail me, Barry thinks, as he waits for Batman to make the move as he watches Deadshot and his hostages in the video. This time, Deadshot is playing safe by keeping his hostages closer to him so that Flash can't save them like before, which is quite frustrating for Barry. Come on, I am running out of time. Where the hell are you, Bruce? Barry questions when he suddenly hears something in his ear. To your right, 8,000 meters, on top of the Skypoint building. As soon as Batman's voice falls on Barry's ear, he bolts towards the said direction. On top of the Skypoint building, Deadshot has his sights set, and he is just waiting for the target to arrive. Even though he is doing the same shit from last time, this time he has a gun that can shoot at the speed of light, and he has the hostages right behind him, so if Flash tries anything, he can make an example out of them. Deadshot's wait is finally over when he sees a flash, and then a man in a red suit stands right dab in the middle of the plaza, watching the video. Deadshot chose this place because, 1. He has a direct shot at the plaza, 2. There is a huge billboard to distract the Flash so that he doesn't see the light projectile heading towards him. With Flash in sight, Deadshot loads his gun. The gun starts humming as it concentrates the photon particles into a singular object. But before he's charged to get ready, Flash disappears from his sight. Shocked, Deadshot backs away a little and sees a lightning streak coming right towards him. Shit, he says, and quickly turns around, takes out his handgun, and points it at the hostages to execute them. But before he can even pull the trigger, his vision shifts, and he is in a completely different place. He looks down at his hand and sees that they are cuffed. His guns are gone, and he is now standing behind bars as a few police officers look at him, dumbfounded, from outside the cell. Deadshot looks around and sees that he has been locked inside the CCPD. After Flash got the exact location of Deadshot, it was easy to catch him. Before Deadshot could even pull the trigger and kill the hostages, Flash appeared right behind him. First he took away Deadshot's handgun, then his photon rifle, then all the other guns and blades that Deadshot had hidden all over his body. He then grabs the back of Deadshot's neck and runs him to CCPD, puts him behind bars, cuffs his hands, locks the cell's door, puts the keys back on one of the officers' belts, and leaves. With speeds that even enhanced eyes can see, Deadshot 2 stood no chance once his location was found. After dealing with Deadshot, Barry runs back to the Skypoint building to free the hostages. Not even a minute has gone by, and Barry is back on top of the Skypoint building. He sees that the hostages look a little confused, and he understands their predicament. Just a minute ago, their kidnapper was about to shoot and kill them, but then he suddenly disappeared in a flash of lightning. Barry runs up to them, unties them, releasing them from their shackles before running them back to the ground. All this happens within seconds, and when the hostages realize that they are free to leave, they sigh in relief, some cry in happiness, while a few are still a little confused by everything. But once all of them get enough time to process everything, they realize what happened. The talk of the town, the superhero that they call the Flash, saved them, and they couldn't be any more grateful. Barry runs back up the building and stops, which he rarely does nowadays. Having super speed is really addictive, so he does most of his things at super speed. The only time he is not using it is when he is around people. Sometimes it's okay to slow down and see the world move while he stands still. Looking down at the city, he sees it moving again, which he rarely sees as he is always running faster. The reason he is waiting here is because he knows someone will be here to visit him. After a few minutes, his wait is finally over. Good work. Barry hears the deep, raspy voice behind him. Barry turns around and sees Batman standing there, menacingly. Like, do you have foam underneath your shoes? How do you move without making a sound? Barry asks, as he finally realizes why Batman could always sneak up behind everyone. The dude doesn't make a sound. Even his enhanced hearing could pick him up. Batman just hums. He doesn't answer, as if answering it will bring an end to the world. Seeing that Batman doesn't want to answer his question, he decides to move on to the next. How did you find out Deadshot was here? Barry asks. I found the gun's design. The gun needs to generate a ton of energy to shoot. I just had most of my satellites pointed at Central City to search for any massive heat signatures, Batman explains. That heat signature sounds about right. Also, Deadshot is locked inside CCPD, so I don't think you can get your hands on him, Barry says. I know, Batman answers. Of course you know. Okay, so I assume you are just going to leave. Just like that? Barry questions. Just like your city needs you, Gotham needs me, Batman answers. Well, thanks for everything, Barry says. Batman just stares, doesn't speak, and turns away, ready to leave. Also, if you need help, just hit me up. You saw, even with all my speed, I still need help. Everybody can use a helping hand, so. Ready key, you know the gist, Barry says. Batman stops for a second. That Dr. Wells. Be careful around him, Batman says. Barry is surprised by this warning, but by now, he doesn't think it's out of the ordinary for Batman to pick up a few things. I know, Barry says. Batman turns around and meets Barry's eyes. He realizes that Barry already knows that something is fishy with Dr. Wells, but since Barry seems to be acting ignorant around him, Batman decides not to butt in. He then jumps off the building and disappears into the darkness. Well, that went well, and I think we are now friends. Well, at least I think so, Barry says to himself and, with a flash, disappears. Barry runs back to Star Labs and stops before his team. His sudden stop causes all the papers in the room to fly up in the air. Barry says to him to fly, Caitlin exclaims, happily seeing him back safe and sound. What happened? Cisco asks. Deadshot is behind bars now. No more psycho assassin running around the city, Barry says, smiling. Dude, that's awesome, Cisco says, high-fiving Barry. So, Batman's plan worked, Cisco says. Looks like it did, Dr. Wells chimes in. What was the plan? Cisco asks. Barry then begins explaining what Batman's plan was. That's genius. But wait, how did he get into your headphones? Cisco asks. I don't know, he must have hacked into it, Barry says, knowing that it's not something out of Batman's capabilities. Bullshit, no one can hack into my creation, Cisco says, but having no other explanation to how Batman got inside Barry's ears, he rushes to his computer and finds that Batman indeed hacked into his system. Looks like it all worked out, Mr. Allen, Dr. Wells says. Looks like it did, Barry says, but I still don't trust that man. He could have given us a heads up about the plan before deciding to put your life at risk, Dr. Wells says. I agree with Dr. Wells. That guy gives me the creeps, Caitlin says. I understand your point, but he doesn't seem to trust people that easily as well, Barry says. Dr. Wells just stares at Barry before giving him a smile and rolling away. Central City is abuzz, as the news of Deadshot being caught is the talk of every mouth. The report about how Deadshot just ended up behind bars in a flash has been viewed over 1 million times by the people of the city. But a headline even more captivating than the capture of Deadshot is the reveal of Flash. When Flash stopped at the plaza for those few seconds, a lot of people managed to take some pictures of him. Among that crowd were many professionals, so they got a lot of pictures of the Flash from all different angles. Before, when people thought of the Flash, he was just a streak of lightning in their mind, and now, the people finally have a figure to attach to the name Flash. With the picture of him in a red suit out, there is no place in Central City where Barry can't find a picture of himself. Walking up morning, he is on the TV. Walking out of the apartment, people are looking at the picture of him on their phones. Out in the city, the news stations have plastered his image on the biggest of the billboards. His name is the headline. Every person he walks past is either reading, watching, or talking about the Flash. Luckily, he was vibrating his face at supersonic speed, So the cameras couldn't pick up anything. I told you, Flash is a hero, Iris says as she and Barry, with coffee from Jitters in their hands, walk past a television shop in which all screens have the Flash displayed on them. Well, people online are still debating about it, Barry says. What's there to debate? Flash caught that psycho Deadshot or whatever he called himself, Iris says. That he did, Barry says. Well, now that this psycho killer has been caught, I can finally get serious with my work, Iris says. You are not talking about putting your name on your blog, are you? Barry asks. You can't persuade me into not doing it, Barry, she says. Yeah, I know. You are not going to budge on that, so I'm not going to try anymore, Barry says. He is not going to babysit Iris about everything. She is a grown woman, and if she really wants to do this, let her do this. It's her choice. See, I knew you would understand, Iris says with a smile. It's not me that you need to convince, it's Joe. Get ready to feel his judgmental eyes on you every time you try to talk to him for the next few months, Barry says, laughing. Ugh, I forgot about Dad. Barry, can you please talk to him about this? She begs. No, don't put this on me, I have nothing to do with this, this is all you. Journalist Iris West, Barry says. He is not going to get involved with any more quarrels between his friend/adopted sister and his adopted dad. Iris gives him the side eye before changing the subject. By the way, Eddie and I are hanging out. You are of course invited, but do you have anyone to bring along? Iris asks. Sure, I can invite Cisco and Caitlin, Barry says. Right, Caitlin, what's going on with you two? Iris asks. Yeah, that didn't work out. She has her own issues to deal with right now, so don't make it awkward when I invite her tonight, Barry says. Come on, you know me, I'm cool, Iris says. I don't know about that, but you need to promise me that you won't make things difficult for both of us tonight, okay? Barry asks. Fine, I promise, Iris says. Good, meet you two tonight, Barry says as they go their separate ways. Barry heads to CCPD while Iris gets busy with being a journalist. Barry is going through today's files in his lab when Joe walks in, grabbing Joe's attention. Good work yesterday, Joe says. Yeah, that was a close call yesterday, Barry says, smiling. Well, because of that close call, now you are everywhere. Everywhere I go, I see you. Soon you will begin haunting me in my dreams, Joe says, sighing, taking a seat. He can't keep count of how many times he has come across the Flash. Do you know, they already have fake merchandise of you being sold on the streets? Joe questions. So soon? It just happened last night. Even Barry was surprised by how fast people are when it comes to making a profit for themselves. Too bad I don't have a copyright for the Flash name and design, Barry says, laughing. Speaking of your close call yesterday, I was informed that you worked with a vigilante last night. He was the one who helped you locate Deadshot, Joe inquires. Dr. Wells told you? Barry questions. This Dr. Wells is getting really annoying. Barry understands that he is trying to take control of his life, but he is messing with the wrong Flash this time. Yes, and I don't want you teaming up with vigilantes, Joe says. Come, Joe, Batman's not that bad, Barry says. Shush, quiet. I don't want people to talk about him here, Joe says, telling Barry to lower his voice. Come on, he's not some demon that will appear if you call his name. Barry laughs, seeing Joe's reaction. Well, anyway, I don't want you anywhere near that man, Joe says. Like I said, he is not that bad. Sure, he can get a little rough, but the dude has a code. He never kills anyone, no matter how bad they are. And he has been doing this for quite some time now, Barry says. And I heard he actually works with the GPD as well, like partners, Barry says, whispering. Bullshit, Joe says. Trust me, maybe you can contact one of your GPD. They will tell you, Barry says. Joe gives him a questioning look, but he is going to do it anyway. If what Barry is saying is true, this Batman can become an ally when in need. The dude managed to locate Deadshot all on his own, while the entirety of the CCPD and Barry's team were struggling to do so. If one this Joe can take from this is that his Batman is one useful person to be around. Barry, Caitlin, Cisco, Iris and Eddie are all hanging out at a bar. While Iris and Eddie are off doing their own thing, Barry is with Caitlin and Cisco, chugging shots after shots without a single twitch on his face. See, nothing. My high metabolism has ruined my youth. I can't get drunk no matter how much I drink, Barry says. Looks like we finally sound a disadvantage of having superpowers, Cisco says. Well, since you can't have any, let me have it for you, Caitlin says, chugging a shot, trying to tease him. Barry chuckles and takes another shot. Now that he can't get high anymore, he can only drink for taste. As Barry spends the night having fun with his friends, he suddenly remembers something. This scene that is happening, he remembers watching it on TV. The Flash complained to his friends about his inability to get drunk. Iris and Eddie are here as well. Wait, isn't this the scene when that explosion happens? Barry questions as he looks around. It's 9 p.m. and there is no call from the station. Nothing is happening. Maybe it's later at night, Barry thinks, and waits for something to happen. While he keeps his friends entertained, he has his attention somewhere else. He is waiting for that call so that he can take action. But time starts to fly by. His friends get drunker, but that call never comes. Did I get it wrong? Was it not this scene? Barry questions as he sees the clock hit 11 p.m. Barry! He hears Iris call for him. He turns around and sees her in Eddie's arms. It's getting late. I am leaving, Iris says. Me too. Can't be late for work tomorrow, Eddie says. I should head back as well. I will leave with Caitlin and Cisco. You two should leave first, Barry says. Okay, see you tomorrow, Barry, Iris says, bidding farewell. Eddie waves with a smile and leaves with her. Barry then brings his attention to his other two friends, who seem to be having a great time. Looks like I was wrong, Barry thinks and smiles. He no longer has to deal with a walking human bomb. Maybe I will come across her someday in the future, he thinks, and approaches them. Guys, it's 11 p.m. Do you want to spend the entire night here? Barry asks as he sees Caitlin and Cisco play darts for drinks, and Caitlin is handing Cisco his ass at the game. Poor guy has been forced to take shot after shot, and with every shot his game is getting weaker. Alright, that's it. Game over, Caitlin wins, Barry says and stops their game. Woo! Caitlin woos with joy for being declared the winner, while Cisco wobbles trying to keep his balance. Whoa! You seem completely out of it, buddy. Let's get you back home, Barry says, and sits Cisco down as he goes to pay the remaining tab. But it looks like Eddie seems to have already covered up everything. Barry quickly returns to Cisco and Caitlin's side, and they walk out of the bar. Barry hails a cab and puts Cisco in it. He can't run him home, because his equilibrium is all messed up from all the drinking. Barry gives the driver Cisco's address, pays him up front, and sends them away. How are you feeling? Barry asks, turning to Caitlin. I'm a little drunk, but I can manage, Caitlin says, tipsy. Though she is a little drunk, Barry doesn't think he should let her go back home alone. Let me drop you off, Barry says. Well, aren't you going to be late if you come with me? Caitlin questions, drunk. Did you forget who I am? Barry questions with a smile, looking like she forgot who he is in her drunken state. Oops, I completely forgot. Caitlin laughs and slaps Barry's arm. Barry just smiles, seeing her antics, when suddenly Caitlin wraps her hands around his neck. What are you doing? He questions, confused. Aren't you going to swoosh me back home? Caitlin asks, staring at him like an innocent girl. Okay, fine, Barry says. Since she is not totally screwed up like Cisco was, she should be able to handle moving at super speed for a few seconds. Barry puts his one hand on her back, and the other behind her legs, and lifts her up in his arms effortlessly. Woo! You are so strong, she says, grabbing Barry's arm and feeling up his biceps. Barry shakes his head, smiling, and enters Flashpoint. Everything around him slows down, and before anyone can notice, he disappears from his spot. And within a few seconds, he stops right before Caitlin's apartment. Barry puts Caitlin down on her legs as she stumbles a little. Barry grabs her by her shoulders to prevent her from falling, but she regains her footing. We are here already? Caitlin asks, surprised. The jolt from the sudden stop must have snapped her out of her drunken state a little. Yes, this is your house, right? Barry asks, as this is the first time he has come to Caitlin's house. Yes, it is, and that was fast. Plist, who am I talking to? You are the Flash, she says teasingly, making Barry smile again. By the way, do you want to come in? Caitlin suddenly asks, surprising Barry. He doesn't understand this woman. Sometimes she pushes him away, and sometimes she pulls him in. He doesn't know what to do. Come on. I am thinking about making something to eat. We have been drinking all night. I need something to soak up all that alcohol, Caitlin says, opening the door and pulling Barry in. Though she is still drunk, she also seems to be aware of what she is doing. Well, whatever happens, happens, Barry thinks, and enters Caitlin's apartment. Sit down. I'm going to change into something comfortable before I make something, Caitlin says. Sure, Barry says and sits down on the couch. He turns on the TV while feeling a little weird on the inside. What is Caitlin thinking? Does she want me to make a move, or does she just really want to make and eat something? Barry questions, but after a few seconds, he lets go of his thought. There is no point for him to rack his brain for nothing. He puts on something to mindlessly watch, but as a few minutes go by, he hears his name being called. Barry! Barry, can you come in here? he hears Caitlin call for him. Barry raises his eyebrow, as this is escalating. Why would a woman call a man into her bedroom if she doesn't want to do anything? Confused, Barry enters Caitlin's bedroom, and she seems to be struggling. Barry, can you help me with this zipper? It's stuck, Caitlin says as she tries reaching the zipper on the back of her dress. Looks like I really was thinking too much into it, Barry thinks, and walks up to her. Wait, let me help you, Barry says and pinches her zipper with his fingers. He tries to pull it down but feels a little resistance, so he puts in a little more effort, and suddenly the zip goes all the way down, revealing her smooth, bare back. Oh, sorry, Barry says as he puts in a little too much strength. Running at super speed is one thing, as he is the Speed Force, and he understands it the best, but when it comes to super strength, he needs a little more control. It's okay, Caitlin says, turning around and meeting Barry's eyes as she holds onto her dress with her hand. As their gaze meets, and they stare into each other's eyes, Caitlin stands up on her tiptoe and meets Barry's lips with hers. Barry doesn't just stand there like an idiot, he grabs her by her waist, pulls her closer, and kisses her back. Their lips part, changing positions as the tongues start to get involved. After a few seconds of passionate kissing, they pull away from each other and stare into each other's eyes again. Are you sure about this? Barry asks one last time, because after this, he is not going to back down if she says yes. There will be no going back from this. Hearing his question, Caitlin suddenly lets go of her hand, holding onto her dress. It collapses, revealing her perky breasts. I want this, Caitlin says. It's 8 in the morning and the sun's already up, lighting up Central City with its burning blaze. N, Caitlin moans as she slowly opens her eyes. Her eyes fall on the side of her bed and find it empty. She stares at the empty stop for a few seconds before her eyes snap wide open. She immediately sits up as memories of the night play in her head. She remembers all of it. Everything. The way she initiated the smashing, the way they kissed each other with passion and lust, the way they smashed, the way she moaned, being subjected to the intensity Barry brought to the smashing. As all these thoughts ran through her head, she wanted to blame it on being drunk, but she knew she couldn't. Sure, when she initiated the smashing by kissing Barry, she was a little drunk, but after they got to the smashing part, she became completely sober. And even if she was drunk, she wouldn't be able to forget this night, because the smashing was too good. It was not just good, it was the best thing she had ever experienced. Nothing came close. The difference between the second best smashing and last night is so great that it's not even comparable. It's night and day, and her body still remembers every second of it. Using superpowers during smashing is cheating, she thought. Now what do I do? She questions, as the line she thought she wouldn't cross has been crossed. And she doesn't think she can go back, but she also doesn't want to experience the same heartbreak she went through with her last fiancé. Sighing, she gets out of her bed and puts on something to cover herself. We went a little too far, Caitlin thinks as her whole body feels sore. She walks out of the bedroom and into the kitchen, when she suddenly freezes. She sees Barry in the kitchen preparing breakfast. She thought he left, but here he is, in her house, making breakfast. Looks like you are awake, sit down. I made breakfast, Barry says without turning around. Caitlin doesn't speak. She turns around and walks towards the dining table, and sits down while her eyes never leave Barry. She sees him wearing the same clothes he had on last night, but the only thing she can imagine is his naked, hot body. She shakes her head, trying to get rid of her thoughts. Done making breakfast, Barry walks over and places it before Caitlin, before sitting down as well. Barry looks at Caitlin and sees that she is still processing what happened last night. Do you want to talk about it? Barry asks. Caitlin lifts her head and meets his eyes. She wants to say something, but can't express her words. Before you say anything, I want to tell you what I feel. We have already crossed that line and there is no going back, but I also know that you have not completely moved away from your past. I also have had a lot of time to think about what I want to do, and I would like to continue this, but just as friends. Last night was incredible, and I want to do it again, but I also don't want to deal with things that we both went through before, Barry says. As Caitlin listened to Barry's words, she too started seeing things clearly. She too was confused as to what to do, but as she listened to Barry, she realized that she too wanted the same. She is attracted to Barry. She loved what happened last night and wants to experience it again, but she also doesn't want to drag herself into another relationship just because. And what Barry's suggesting makes it easy for her as well. She finally speaks. Me too. I want the same. I want you. I want what we did last night, but I don't want a relationship, Caitlin says. Their eyes lock, and they come to an understanding. Great, so we can stay friends, but also be lovers. Caitlin completes Barry's words. Cool, I'd better get going before this becomes awkward, Barry says, enters flash time, eats what he made, and leaves in a jiffy. Caitlin just feels a burst of air, and before she knows, Barry is gone. Now, finding herself all alone, she chuckles and begins eating the breakfast Barry made for her. What happened last night didn't make things awkward between them, it just fixed their relationship. From day one, they craved each other more than they felt for each other. She is still not over her dead fiancé, and Barry is just too busy with his life, balancing a real job and a superhero job. After this discussion, they both finally at a place that is both comfortable and exciting. And as for a relationship, it's a discussion to be had far ahead in the future. Barry's day was not as eventful as the past few days. Even the local crimes were minimal, so Barry let the police handle most of them. This allowed Barry to finish up all his forensic work at the CPD. And as the day comes to an end, Barry goes for one last run around the city when he suddenly hears sirens. Looks like I get to stop one more criminal, Barry says, and runs toward the direction of the sirens. Covering multiple blocks within seconds, the Flash arrives at a crossroads. He sees multiple police cars forming a barricade. He also sees Joe and Eddie at the scene, as they have a worried look on their faces. Barry turns his head and sees a big yellow Humvee heading right towards the police barricade, with no intention of stopping. He also sees a pedestrian, a kid lost in his own world with a phone in his hand and headphones over his ears, completely unaware that he is about to get squashed by a big yellow car like a lemon. Luckily for him, the Flash is here to save the day. He runs towards the kid at super speed and gets him off the street as the Humvee flies past by right towards the police car barricade. Barry puts down the kid and turns around to see the police start open firing at the Humvee, trying to stop the assailant. But the driver inside the Humvee doesn't seem to be affected by the bullets hitting him. He continues his way towards the police barricade. Seeing that the perp has no intention of stopping, the police get out of the way as the Humvee smashes through the police cars that were parked there to stop him. "Holy shit, you are the Flash," the kid says as he sees Barry before him. He never. Barry turns to look at the kid and smiles at him. "Keep your eyes on the road, kid. I won't always be around to run in and save you," Barry says, giving him a two-finger salute before zooming out of there in a flash. The kid gets hit by a blast of wind on his astonished face. He can't wait to go to school tomorrow and tell his friends that he saw the Flash in person. Barry runs behind the Humvee and quickly catches up to it. No matter how fast this car is going, it cannot outrun the Flash. He runs around the Humvee to check who is driving and sees a big, muscular dude with a mean face behind the steering wheel, and he seems to be having a little joyride in this Humvee with the expression on his face. Barry can't let this continue any longer. He needs to stop this Humvee before the guy decides to drive it through someone else. Going through some ideas, the quickest way to stop this car would be to just run right into it with super speed and force it to a halt, but that would destroy the car and also fling the guy out through the windshield with extreme force. So Barry finds a better option. He runs around the car and removes its left back wheel from its axle before stopping a few hundred meters away. Without a back wheel to support the heavy body of the car loses its grip and begins to skid as it throws sparks behind it. The Humvee is soon forced to stop. The guy inside the Humvee growls with anger and looks at Barry, who stands before him in a red suit. "Come out, big guy. The joyride's over," Barry says with his hands on his hips, doing the classic standing superhero pose. Barry can see that he has hit a nerve. "Sure," the guy says as he rips the Humvee's door off its hinges and gets out with it. "Ah, a metahuman," Barry says to himself, but as he looks at the man standing before him, something feels off, not because the guy is a metahuman, but because he is giving Barry a sense of familiarity. "I never recall meeting this guy," Barry thinks as he tries to scratch his hunch. Having multiple memories is a bitch, especially if the two memories that matter are just a tiny fraction of what Barry has lived through. Combined, the memories that should matter only about 50 years, the rest of his very long life was spent trapped inside the Speed Force. The only way for him to jog a memory of his past is to enter the Speed Force and watch it happen. This has both its advantages and disadvantages. By storing his different memories in the Speed Force, he won't have to deal with a dual personality, but he will also have a hard time accessing memories of his past. "Let's deal with that later. I should be focused on the guy in front of me right now," Barry thinks, as he sees the big burly dude still stuck in motion as he is trying to throw the Humvee's door at him. "Maybe I should speed this up a little." Barry thinks, and lowers the influence of flash time, making the door move a little faster. Barry moves to the side and lets the door fly past him before getting impaled into a wall. "Woo, aren't you a strong big boy?" Barry says with a smile on his face, his tone clearly meant to make fun of the musclehead. Barry's words ticked off the man even more, so he rushes at Barry as the color of his skin changes and becomes shiny. Well, it would be more accurate to say that his skin transforms into a metallic substance. Barry sees the whole transformation happen in slow motion, which fascinates him. The fist gets close to Barry's face, but Barry moves his head again, dodging the punch with ease. The Man of Steel gets frustrated as Barry dodges his first punch, so he throws another punch at the Flash, which the Flash dodges with ease once again. GG, the Man of Steel shouts in anger, and starts throwing haymakers to catch the Flash with at least one, but to the Flash, all these punches are too slow to even grace him. After throwing so many punches with all his power behind them, the Man of Steel gasses himself out, but his eyes are burning with fury as he looks at the smug smile on the man with the scarlet suit. "Are you done?" Barry asks, bending down a little, treating the Man of Steel like a child. Sure, he is getting a little cocky, but after becoming a literal god that transcends space, time, and every dimension, how can a man that's just able to turn himself metallic be any threat to him? Plus, the guy's a screwed-up psycho who tried to run over a kid and purposefully drove through a police barricade without a single care. "I am gonna kill you!" He shouts and lunges forward at Barry, but as everyone would expect, the dude's just not fast enough. He falls face first on the pavement as he grabs nothing. Suddenly, the man feels someone grabbing his leg. He turns his head and sees that the Flash is holding onto his leg. "Let me take you on a ride," Flash says with a smile. And in that brief moment, one can see fear in the Man of Steel's eyes. Barry watches in slow motion as the Man of Steel launches his whole body at him. "Let's get this over with," Barry thinks, and suddenly lifts his leg and kicks the Man of Steel's shin, which will lead him to trip and fall face first on the ground. But before he falls, Barry walks behind him and waits for the fall. Ting! As soon as his massive body falls, it makes a loud ringing sound, which shows that not only has his body now become metallic in nature, but his biomass has also increased, which is the cause of his superhuman strength. Simple speed punches aren't going to do much to this guy. Barry will have to hit with very hard punches. He will have to hit this guy with punches that are faster than the speed of sound. But then, Barry thinks of something else. Since the guy is on a power high, because of his recent strength gain, he will continue to be a menace until he is put in his place. Luckily, he is durable enough to handle getting a little roughed up. Barry plans to do just that. He grabs the Man of Steel's heavy leg and lifts it up. If not for his body constantly evolving by siphoning power from the Speed Force, he would not be able to lift this heavy man. Barry sees the Man of Steel turn his head to look at him. Barry then gives him a smile and says, "Let me take you on a ride." Saying so, the Flash enters Flash time, and the world around him stretches a little in his field of view, influenced by the Speed Force. And then he begins running, dragging the hunk of metallic man against the ground. Barry covers massive distances in an instant, but he keeps his speed under the speed of sound as he doesn't want to brutalize this man. Just some hurting should do enough to instill fear into him. The man feels his thick head smack into the pavement multiple times as he is dragged throughout the city at super speed. He tries to put up a struggle to get himself free, but the Flash is running over 700 miles per hour. Every time he moves a body part, it hits the ground, and he immediately loses control over that limb because of the sheer velocity that it just experienced. Though the man is made of metal, he is feeling every hard bump, and he is getting hot, very hot, as the friction created from his metallic body being dragged against the hard pavement is generating a lot of energy. After dragging the poor man across miles worth of distance, Barry brings him into one of the less populated areas of the city, near a warehouse, and tosses him up in the air. As the Man of Steel starts to descend to the ground from the pull of gravity, Barry runs up to him and starts punching the ever-living hell out of him. Of course, Barry is not going all out, but every punch he is throwing is faster than the speed of sound. After getting repeatedly pummeled by fists that are traveling faster than the speed of sound multiple times, all across his body, the Man of Steel shoots into a wall, crashing and turning it into dust. The Flash stops, sticks out his tongue, and bites down on it as he realizes he caused some unnecessary property damage. That last punch was a little too powerful. "Ugh, stop please," the Man of Steel moans in pain as he crawls out of the rubble. "I give up, please stop," he begs for mercy as the shiny coat that was all over him starts to fade, revealing his human self again. Even though the guy took a lot of damage, there is not a single scratch on him. This dude is very durable, but that doesn't mean the Flash can't hurt him. The Flash can definitely hurt him, and in so many brutal ways that Flash would get labeled as a war criminal if he did so. But of course, Flash is a hero, and he would never intentionally hurt anyone. Barry watches as the Man of Steel finally collapses from exhaustion and pain. I really did a number on him, didn't I? Barry questions to himself as he turns around and tries to contact the team. Guys, anyone there? He questions as he speaks into his earpiece. Guys? He questions again before he is finally answered. Ah, yes, Barry, I'm here, what's up? Barry hears Cisco's voice. Cisco! Great, I just caught a metahuman. Is the metahuman containment chamber ready? Barry asks. What? You caught a metahuman? What kind? Cisco asks curiously. He can turn his whole body into some kind of metallic substance, Barry says. That's so cool, dude. How did you stop him? Cisco asks. Multiple supersonic punches, Barry answers, smiling as he hears the fascination in Cisco's voice. That's genius, of course. Every material has a natural limit. Supersonic punches could definitely compromise most metallic structures, Cisco says, as Barry can hear him fidgeting with his computer. Cisco, we are getting off topic. Is the containment chamber ready? Barry asks again. Of course, man. It's been ready for weeks, we just have not had a metahuman sighting, Cisco says, crunching down on something in his mouth. Great, I will bring the metahuman. Get the chamber ready, Barry says as he turns around, but his next words get stuck in his throat as he doesn't see any sign of the Man of Steel anywhere. Where did he go? Barry questions. He lost focus on his target for a few seconds, and he disappeared. NA, no one's getting away from me, Barry says, entering flash time and doing a very quick, thorough patrol of the entire area. But there is still no sign of the Man of Steel. Don't tell me he has super speed as well, Barry questions, scratching his head when he finally notices something. An open manhole. No freaking way, Barry says as he looks down the manhole, and he is immediately assaulted with the worst kind of smell possible. Yeah, I'm not going down there. Let's catch him the next time he surfaces, Barry says and zooms away. Barry can't believe he lost a metahuman whom he already had on his knees, completely defeated. After a few minutes, Barry returns to Star Labs to find Cisco along with Caitlin and Dr. Wells. You're back, Cisco says, but then looks around in confusion as he only sees Barry. Nowhere is the metahuman he said he caught. Where's the metahuman? Cisco asks. He escaped, Barry says, sighing with defeat. Haha, nice joke. You said you defeated him, Cisco says. I did, but when I turned my back to talk to you, the guy escaped by jumping into a manhole. Before I knew it, he was gone, Barry says. You're lying. How can someone get away from you? Cisco asks. Well, it's indeed embarrassing, but I got distracted while talking to you, Barry says. Did you survey the surroundings? Maybe he took off somewhere else, Caitlin suggests. No, I ran around the whole block multiple times. Checked every corner. He was nowhere to be found. I am sure he went down the manhole in the sewers. What type of metahuman was it? Dr. Wells asks. This one could turn his body into some kind of metallic substance. It was hard to hit him unless I was hitting him beyond supersonic speed. Every single punch hurt like hell, Barry says. Luckily, his super healing immediately kicked in every time he punched the Man of Steel, saving him from having a broken hand. Barry might be immortal, but his body can still be destroyed. It is his soul that has become the other half of the Speed Force. His body is just a vessel for him to use. It will take some time before his body can become invulnerable. Cisco then pulls out a map of all the manholes and sewer entrances of the city on the screen, and Barry points out where the metahuman escaped into. For some reason, Dr. Wells seems pretty interested in this, but no one notices it. Something is going on inside that head of his. Don't worry, we will get him next time, Caitlin says, trying to cheer up the team after losing a defeated metahuman. Her words are especially for Barry, as it is his fault that the Man of Steel escaped. Caitlin is right. This is not the first time a metahuman has gotten away. We will get him the next time he resurfaces, Dr. Wells adds. Barry looks at the two and nods his head. He is not going to make a big deal out of this because he is confident in taking down this Man of Steel again if he resurfaces, and the next time he does, Barry is not going to be as overconfident as before. Alright guys, see you tomorrow. I need some sleep, Barry says and leaves first. He also has something else to do. After saying goodbye, Barry runs out in a flash, leaving the team back to being a three-man working force. Though they said that they will get this Man of Steel next time, Cisco and Caitlin continue with their work, trying to find where Gerda can be. Gerda, a name Cisco just came up with after hearing his description from Barry. Caitlin rolls her eyes, hearing Cisco give another name to a metahuman, but the focus right now is on finding this metahuman. While Cisco and Caitlin get busy, Dr. Wells leaves them and heads out as well, giving them an excuse about having something to do. Once out of the cortex, Dr. Wells enters the time vault and closes the door behind him. He then gets up from his wheelchair, standing on his legs, and opens a hidden compartment that's inside the time vault, revealing a suit similar to the one Barry wears but yellow, and a red lightning symbol on the chest. And then suddenly, in a flash of red lightning, Dr. Wells puts on the yellow suit and runs out of Star Labs without being noticed by anyone. Dr. Wells, or if we call him by his supervillain name the Reverse Flash, crosses a massive distance within seconds before entering the sewers. He moves inside the sewers, fast and precise, as if he already knows which turns lead to where. After a few seconds, the Reverse Flash finally stops and smiles as he stares at something big and black. A being of his making, someone who listens to him with unquestioned loyalty. Someone he can use against the Flash to bring out more speed from him. "Hey buddy, I need you to do something for me," Reverse Flash says, smiling at the big, black hulking thing. After Barry returns to his apartment, he jumps on his bed, lies down, and closes his eyes. It looks like he has fallen asleep instantly, but no, his body is here, but his soul has reconnected with the Speed Force, becoming one with it. Barry meets his alter ego, his other self, standing before him silently, doing nothing. It's weird seeing himself, well, what he looked like in the past. "I am here to check a few of my memories," Barry says. "I know," his alter ego, the Speed Force, answers. Barry opens his mouth to question how he knows, but then realizes that he is just talking to himself, so he shuts his mouth. It is still a weird feeling. He is the other half of the Speed Force, but his physical existence feels so different, as if the Speed Force and he are two completely different entities. But no, they are the same. The only reason Barry feels like this is because he is constrained within the 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time in his physical body. He sees the world through a mortal's perspective, while his other self sees reality as it is, a being that transcends dimensions and lives outside of its influence. "I think you no longer need me to guide us around ourselves," Barry's alter ego speaks. "No, I don't. I have the grasp of it now," Barry says. "Then this might be the last time you will see our past life's face, unless you summon it by your own will," the alter ego says. "Yes, if I summon it by our own will," Barry confirms. The alter ego then turns into partials of lightning and merges with the lightning storm that is all around Barry. Barry then walks towards a door that appears before him. He pushes it open and walks in, finding himself inside his room, the one from his past life, the same one that is filled with comic books and action figures of superheroes. Barry then walks up to the couch and sits down, turning on the TV. A folder named Memory can be seen on the screen. Barry opens the folder and begins browsing through until he stops at the Flash TV show Memories. The world he thought he was in, but by now, he knows it's not the same world. Batman wasn't active in the Flash TV show world, but in his reality, he is still alive and kicking. He is also still young, and has a Robin by his side. Barry doesn't know which Robin it is, but that shouldn't concern him right now. Barry shifts through the episodes when he finally sees the familiar face. The face of the man that Barry beat up tonight. Barry skims through the show and finally realizes why he found the man familiar. He turned out to be his childhood bully. A chuckle escapes Barry as he realizes this. His current past self must have really hated this guy for him to get that familiar feeling. Well, that part of him no longer exists. And the man Barry is now is no longer intimidated or afraid of anyone. Now that he knew why he found the Man of Steel or Gerda familiar, Barry thought of leaving, but then he changed his mind. He decides to binge-watch the Flash TV show to jog his memory. Barry then spends hours watching seasons 1 to 4 before his Flash TV show memories come to an end. First confused by only seeing 4 seasons, but then he recalls how after season 4, the show went down the drain, and he stopped watching it. He of course doesn't have access to what he hasn't seen. "Time to leave," Barry says and closes his eyes, and the next time he opens them in the real world. He looks up at his ceiling, and then turns his head to look at the table clock. Only 2 hours have gone by. Barry closes his eyes again, trying to sleep, but he doesn't feel tired or sleepy. "What should I do?" he questions and takes out his phone. He then thinks of something and sends Caitlin a message. You busy? After a few seconds, he gets a reply back. No, just got home a few minutes ago, Caitlin replies. So, do you want some company? Barry sends a question. I would like that, Caitlin replies. As soon as he sees this message, he gets out of his house and super speed, and within minutes appears before Caitlin's house. He rings the bell, and as soon as the door opens, the two fall into each other's arms and spend the rest of the night entangled in each other's naked bodies, while Caitlin's loud moans sound throughout the night in an uncontrollable act of passion and lust. 2 days have passed since Barry fought with Gerda, and he is still a no-show. This doesn't usually happen, as these metahumans never stop committing crimes, especially if you are someone like Gerda, someone who is full of himself and beyond arrogant. Barry doesn't think he scared off Gerda that much for him to avoid Central City like the plague after. Where do you want me to drop you off? Barry asks Caitlin as she is in the middle of putting on her dress. Ever since they confirmed the type of relationship they want, they have not spent a night apart from each other, indulging themselves in lust and desire as they find each other irresistible. Especially so for Caitlin, as Barry's superpower has made it impossible for her to resist him. She is getting addicted to how he makes her feel. Home. I need to change into something different. I can't be wearing the same dress I wore yesterday, Caitlin says. Okay, Barry says, and immediately puts on a new set of clothes, runs up to Caitlin, grabs her, takes her up in his arms, and then runs her all the way back to her apartment. Placing her down, Barry exits Flashpoint. Caitlin stumbles a little and finds herself before her apartment. Even though she has experienced this many times, she is still not used to it. Okay, I should leave now, Barry says. Meet you at the lab, Caitlin replies. Barry nods and disappears right before her eyes. Barry walks into CCPD right on time. With super speed, he is never late. As soon as he steps foot inside his lab, Eddie walks in. Do you have anything for me, Barry? He asks. Barry looks at Eddie and shakes his head with a sigh. Ever since that night, Eddie has been on the edge, trying to catch Gerda. Now that everyone in the city knows that people like Flash exist, Eddie believes that the man driving the Humvee that night is also someone like Flash, as even though Eddie riddled his bullets into the driver, all of his bullets just bounced off him. After that day, Eddie and Barry have been running around investigating the perpetrator, Tony Woodward. Nothing new. The guy's nowhere to be found. Forensic results prove nothing, Barry says. I don't believe he will be gone for long. The next time he appears, I am making sure he gets caught, Eddie says and walks away, frustrated. Barry thinks the same. Gerda won't be gone for long, and the next time he appears, he is going to make sure not to let go of him like before. After Eddie leaves, he gets to work, finishing reports of other cases, when he gets another visit, this time from Iris. Hey, Iris calls as she enters his office. Barry lifts his head and looks at her. Do you have anything for me? She asks. About what? Barry questions. Anything regarding the Flash? Iris questions. How would I know anything about the Flash? The dude runs faster than the eye can see, Barry says. Come on, give me something. Maybe the names of some criminals he caught, Iris questions. I got nothing. Why don't you ask Joe? Barry says. You know he is still giving me the cold shoulder, Iris says. I got nothing for you, Iris, Barry says when he gets another visitor. This time it's Joe. Seeing Joe enter, Iris makes her exit. Since Joe is giving her the cold shoulder, she is retaliating the same way. Joe waits for Iris to leave before speaking. Did you guys find anything on Woodward? Joe asks. After learning that the guy driving the Humvee that night was a metahuman, Joe became serious about it. He also learned how Barry confronted him, but failed to capture him. Nothing. The guy has disappeared from the face of the earth, Barry says. Okay, if you find anything, inform me, Joe says. I will, Barry says. Good, Joe says and is about to leave, but Barry stops him. Joe, there is something else I wanted to discuss. Joe stops hearing Barry. He looks at Barry and sees that this is a serious matter as he reads Barry's expression. Pulling a chair closer, he sits down. What is it? Joe questions. I think you need to approach the captain and convince him to create a special prison for, metahumans, Barry says. What about the containment facility under Star Labs? Joe questions. That's just a temporary measure. I don't think we can hold people prisoners against their will, even if they are dangerous metahumans, Barry says. Joe gives it some thought and agrees with Barry. But how are we going to convince the city to make a special prison for metahumans? Joe asks. Well, fear is a legitimate reason, now that the world has seen the Flash and sees what he can do. They also know there are others like him, and unlike the Flash, most of them are not going around helping people. You just need to make a list of every weird, unexplainable case that happened in the last year. It should be enough reason for the city to take a serious step, Barry says. That's a great idea, Joe says. The city can also hire Star Labs to design the meta-suppressing technology, as they understand it better than anyone else, Barry suggests. Let's begin with finding all those weird cases and convince the city before planning any further, Joe says and takes his leave. Barry knows that the city would create such a prison in the future, but Barry wants the city to build it quicker, as he doesn't want these dangerous meta-humans trapped right under where his friends work. With Dr. Wells being the Reverse Flash, he will definitely use these captured meta-humans to do his dirty work if his identity is revealed. Having no certainty about what the future holds, as this is not the TV world he knows, and his existence has already shown the butterfly effect it has had in this world, he is not going to take his chance with anything, especially when it comes to a guy who is a speedster, just like him. While CCPD and Team Flash were busy trying to find the girder, another meta-human started his terror. Barry is called to a crime scene where a body burned to a crisp is found near an electric grid. When Barry arrives at the scene, he immediately notices the signature of arc blasts on the ground, and having recently refreshed his memory regards the TV show, he already knows which meta-human is involved in this crime. He then gives Joe and Eddie a short briefing about what happened here. He also tells Joe that he suspects a meta-human involvement. What happened to that meta-human prison? Barry asks Joe when they find themselves alone. I did put the plan forward. Now it's up to the city to decide, Joe says. Barry nods and continues with his work. He doesn't know how long it will take for the city to approve the prison, but he hopes they do it at the earliest. After the body gets collected by the forensic team, Barry returns to CCPD to finish work and file all his reports before heading back to Star Labs. At Star Labs, Barry finds Cisco fiddling with something on his computer. Cisco, I wanted to ask something, Barry questions. What is it? Cisco asks while his eyes are still fixated on his computer screen. Can you make meta-damping cuffs? Barry asks, which immediately grabs Cisco's attention. What do you mean by meta-damping cuffs? He questions. You know, a guff that can dampen a meta's power. It would save us so much time, and also reduce a lot of collateral damage. I could just run in at super speed, cuff them, and bring them back here, Barry says. As Cisco listens to Barry's idea, his brain starts churning ideas. That's an incredible idea. If I can replicate the containment field's technology into a much smaller form factor, it should be possible. I will get right to it, Cisco says, and already starts running simulations on his computer. Barry smiles. He just nudged Cisco into making something before time, as Barry needs everything that he can use to keep everyone safe, and these meta-damping cuffs would be very essential in keeping the city safe from meta-humans. But it's not just meta-humans that Barry needs to worry about. This universe is different from the one in the TV show, so the biggest threat Barry would face would be literal gods like Darkseid or an army of Kryptonians. Speaking of Kryptonians, Barry wonders where is this world's version of Superman? An element like Superman missing is of huge concern, and it's not just Superman. He has not heard of Wonder Woman or Green Lantern. These are powerhouses that the world needs to protect itself from literal godlike aliens. One step at a time, Barry thinks. He is no longer just concerned about assimilating to this world, he is already planning for the future and the threats that are on the horizon. It's late at night, and the team is trying to figure out the new meta's origin and powers. With some hints from Barry that are not too obvious, the team manages to narrow down to a handful of suspects, when suddenly something happens. The alarm system goes off. The Petersburg grid is experiencing a power drain right now, Caitlin warns Barry. Getting to it, Barry says, and the suit on his mannequin immediately disappears along with Barry. The Flash crosses incredible distances within seconds, breaking physics with the help of his power. The Flash arrives at the Petersburg grid, but instead of stopping and confronting the meta face-to-face, the Flash runs around the grid to locate the meta and check if there is anyone else in the vicinity. Once he clears everything, he runs towards the meta at super speed and punches him with just enough force to knock him out cold. The Flash doesn't waste his time talking and give the meta-human a chance to zap him, even though the chances of catching him with one of these lightning strikes are near impossible. The Flash won't take such chances. Flash finally stops and looks down at the meta-human. He looks to be in a very bad shape, so without wasting a single second, Flash grabs the meta-human and runs back to Star Labs. He directly runs to the containment area, puts the meta-human in, and closes the containment room's door. Before running back to the cortex, before his team, Barry stops, causing a burst of air that makes papers fly everywhere. "You are back already?" Cisco asks. "Check the containment cell," Barry says with a cheeky smile. Cisco, curious, turns on the containment cell and finds the metahuman locked inside, slowly coming back to consciousness. "Is that the metahuman?" Caitlin asks. She, too, is surprised by how quickly Barry dealt with this metahuman. It hasn't even been 5 minutes. While Caitlin and Cisco admired Barry's ability, Dr. Wells stared at Barry with cold eyes. "He is already fast enough. Time for me to make my move," Dr. Wells thinks. "Swift, efficient work, Mr. Allen. You are learning how to use your powers wisely," Dr. Wells says, getting everyone's attention. Barry looks at him and nods his head. "I can't keep letting these metahumans get away because of my sloppiness," Barry says. "It's a fair sentiment to have. I am happy that you are taking this seriously. But remember, it's not just about you being a hero. It's about the betterment of humanity. The faster you get, the more we will be able to help all of humanity," Dr. Wells says, still sounding like a profound saint. Barry nods. But he knows that all this concern about the betterment of humanity is just a facade. This man, before him, is evil incarnate. Now Barry just needs to figure out which type of Reverse Flash this one is. Is this guy similar to the TV show, or is his personality more similar to the one in comic books? Because if it is from comic books, Barry feels chills run down his spine. Not because he is scared, but because the guy creeps him out. "Guys, look after this one. I feel like he is in a lot of pain, suffering. Maybe we can help him," Barry says, as he brings the attention back to the metahuman he just locked up. Hearing Barry, Cisco and Caitlin recalls why they are doing this. Not only to protect Central City from metahumans, but to help these metahumans as well. "I am done for the day. It's time for me to leave," Barry says and bids his farewell. Barry returns to his apartment and lies down on his bed when suddenly his phone buzzes. "Who is it this time?" Barry questions as he looks at the message. "Need your help, it's urgent, Bat." As soon as Barry sees the bat emoji, he realizes that Batman needs his help. "What's going on?" Barry questions. "I will send you a list of names. Their lives are under threat. I need you to save them. My team can't be everywhere," Batman replies. Barry realizes that this is a very serious matter, as Batman wouldn't have contacted him if he weren't the very last resort. "I am on my way," Barry answers, and then begins running. He doesn't wear his suit, as he doesn't want the team to know where he is going. He doesn't want the team to see how fast he can really run, so he only takes his Flash boots, as they have none of Cisco's tech in them. Barry enters Flash time, and he begins running. The world around him stretches into an infinite line as he hits speeds he has never hit. Mach 50, Mach 100, Mach 1000. Barry leaves Central City in seconds. He passes through multiple cities at a record time. Barry runs across the entire country within minutes. This is the fastest he has ever run. But he knows he can run faster. Barry stops right where he stopped before in Gotham City. He then takes out his phone and looks through the list that Batman sent, and where they will be found. "Let's get to work," Barry says, and enters Flash time again. He arrives at an expensive mansion and runs right in. He runs around surveying the surroundings, and finds many people in tight black ninja suits with owl-shaped masks. As soon as Barry sees this, he realizes what's happening here. The Court of Owls, the organization Batman was talking about, has made its move, so Barry gets to work. Though all these people are lethal assassins, they are all human. Luckily, these people made it easy for him, as they already have all the necessary tools with them, which Barry can use to restrain them. So he gets to work, a punch to knock them out, take their chains, and then tie up their hands and feet before taking their target and running them into the GPD, where they will be safe. Barry then runs to the next location and does the same, over and over and over again. If looked at from above, one will be able to see a streak of white lightning completely enveloping the streets of Gotham for a few seconds before it disappears. It happened because Barry was running around the city and within seconds, located all the Court of Owl targets and saved them before they got their throats slit by these assassins. But when he arrived at the very last location, it was already too late. But he was not the only one who was late. Batman is also here. Batman turns his head as Barry walks into the room. "Looks like I was a little too late," Barry says. "What about others?" Batman asks. "All of them are safe," Barry says. A flash of surprise can be seen in Batman's eyes, as he expected at least a few casualties. But he didn't expect Barry would actually be able to save all of them. This result is beyond his expectations. "He is much faster than I expected," Batman thinks, and brings his attention back to the dead man. "Who is he?" Barry asks as he sees a dagger plunged into the man's chest. "His name is Lincoln March. He is a mayoral candidate." "Well, not anymore," Batman says. "So Court of Owls is responsible for this?" "Why?" Barry questions. "It's simple. They wanted to take over Gotham by getting rid of every influential name in the city." "Thank you," Batman says to Barry. That came as a surprise. Barry didn't expect the Batman actually to thank him, but it's also not out of his character. "No need to thank me. Maybe I will need your help someday in the future," Barry says. Batman stares, doesn't answer. But this is enough for Barry to know that they have come to an agreement. "Where are the rest of the survivors?" Batman asks. "I ran them all into GCPD. Thought they should be safe there for a while," Barry says. Batman nods and looks up at the sky and sees the iconic bat signal in the sky. Barry follows his gaze and witnesses the iconic scene. Thousands of people living in Gotham, when they see the bat signal in the sky, know that Batman is patrolling the night, and criminals better beware of the dark night. "Take me there," Batman says. "Sure." Barry walks behind Batman, places his hand on the back of his neck and back, and enters Flash Time, carrying Batman all the way to the rooftop of GCPD. Batman's vision shifts, and he finds himself on top of the GCPD, right behind a man who is standing beside the bat signal. "Gordon!" Batman calls out. The man waiting for them turns around. It's a man in his 50s with graying hair and wearing square-framed glasses. This man is James Gordon, the commissioner of the Gotham City Police Department. Gordon then looks at Barry, who is standing beside Batman. "And who is he?" Gordon asks. Barry realizes that he doesn't have his mask on right now, but knowing who the man before him is, Barry is not concerned. "He is the one responsible for saving the entirety of Gotham tonight," Batman says. Barry just smiles and waves at Gordon. "So you are the man behind the moniker The Flash?" Gordon says. By now, the entire world knows about the man who can run faster than the eye can see. So when all the elites and well-known personalities of Gotham City were dropped into the police department one after the other in a flash of lightning, Gordon guessed the party responsible for it. "Well, it's no point in hiding it, I guess, since you have already seen my face. I hope you can keep this a secret," Barry says. Gordon walks up close to Barry and eyes him from head to toe. "You are so young, I wonder if you will be able to carry the burden of the path you have chosen to run?" Gordon questions. Barry just smiles awkwardly as he doesn't know how to answer Gordon's question. Barry doesn't see this as a burden, it's just something he is excited to do. He is living the very life of his favorite superhero while also being infinitely stronger than the original. Seeing that Barry doesn't have an answer for him, Gordon brings his attention back to Batman. "What's happening? Why did you bring all those people here?" Gordon questions. "The Court of Owls. They want to take control of the city. Replace everyone that matters in Gotham City. I couldn't be in all places at once, so I called him," Batman says, looking at Barry. Hearing that the Court of Owls is trying to kill everyone influential, a deep frown appears on his face. "This is way more serious than I thought," Gordon thinks, and looks back at Batman. "So what's your plan now?" Gordon asks. "The Court of Owls came after the city and failed. Now it's my turn to go after them, and I am going to make sure to bring the court crumbling down to the ground," Batman says in his usual serious tone. "Do you need anything from me?" Gordon asks. "Keep the survivors safe as the Talons might continue to come after them," Batman suggests. Gordon nods and then takes his leave, leaving Barry and Batman alone. "So, where to next?" Barry asks. "Powers Hotel, top floor," Batman says. "Okay then, hold on tight," Barry says, grabbing Batman and running him all the way to the top floor of the Powers Hotel, the most elite residential area in Gotham City, belonging to Joseph Powers and his wife, Maria Powers. "So what are we doing here?" Barry asks as he stops right inside a very luxurious room. "Looking for something," Batman says, and starts rummaging through the whole house. No floor is left unchecked by Batman. "What are you looking for?" Barry asks. "An address, something that will help me track down the court's real hideout," Batman says. "And you are sure you can find something here?" Barry asks. "The Powers have been a part of the court for generations, controlling Gotham and its people from the dark." Batman explains why they are here. "Found it," Batman says as he finally gets his hand on the thing he was looking for. Barry approaches Batman and sees the location of the court's real hideout. "Are you sure this is it? It looks like an abandoned building," Barry says. "It's the best place to hide from prying eyes." "Take me there," he says, staring right into Barry's eyes from behind his mask. "You know I am not some taxi that is here to take you around places," Barry says, but he just gets a cold stare from Batman. "Okay, fine. Stop staring at me like that, it's creepy," Barry says, grabs Batman, and takes him to the location where the main members of the court are currently hiding. Barry arrives before an abandoned old building, which still has the aura of nobility around it, even though it has been abandoned for hundreds of years. Barry stops and lets go of Batman as he tries to pretend that moving at super speed doesn't affect him. Batman looks at the abandoned building and feels nostalgic. The Harbor House, he thinks. He came here once before in search of the court when he was little, because he thought that the court was responsible for the murder of his parents, but no, they were not related in any way. He found nothing, no court, no evidence related to the murder of his parents, and now he is here again. Batman enters the house, and Barry follows closely behind. "Wait, let me go and scout the place first before we do anything," Barry whispers. Batman looks at Barry and nods his head. Barry enters Flash Time and begins walking around the house, looking through every room before he finally walks into the dining room. He sees a bunch of people in white owl masks sitting at the table, motionless. But something feels off, not because they are motionless, but because they are all sitting in the same position. Usually, everything is motionless when Barry is in Flash Time, but that doesn't mean everyone would be stuck in a similar position. Barry exits Flash Time, and there is still no reaction from any of these people. He walks up to one of the people and places his finger against the man's neck. "No pulse," Barry says. He then looks around the table. All these people are dead, Barry realizes. "Batman," Barry calls out. "Since everyone here is dead, there is no point in being quiet." Batman enters the room and sees the scene before him. "Everyone's dead," Barry says. Batman walks up to one of the corpses and removes their mask. He does the same with a few others as well to identify them. "Who are these people?" Barry asks. "These are the main members of the Court of Owls," Batman says in a grim tone. "Wait, these are the Court of Owls? How did they end up dead?" Barry asks, confused. "If these are the people who wanted him dead, how come they ended up dying before he could even confront them? Who killed them?" "I do not know," Batman says as he too is stumped after discovering the main court members dead. "Maybe an internal power struggle. Though these are the main members, there are still more out there," Batman says, but this reasoning doesn't make sense. The court has been ruling Gotham for centuries. They rely on each other to keep this control unbreakable, so it would be quite reckless for them to kill each other. "You should leave. I will take it on from here," Batman suddenly speaks up. Barry looks at him. "Are you sure?" he asks. "Yes, we have hit a dead end. I need to investigate this and figure out what really happened. It will take time. I can't keep you here when your city needs you the most," Batman says. Though Batman would greatly benefit from having Barry around, Central City needs Barry, as he is its protector. Barry can see that Batman is serious, so he gives him a nod and runs out of there. He gets out of Gotham within seconds, crosses the entire country before returning to Central City, and runs back to his apartment, all within a few minutes. "What a night, Barry says, exhaling a breath of relief before going to sleep. Tonight was the first time he pushed his body beyond anything he had ever tried before. He didn't know if his body could handle it, but it did. He could feel himself growing stronger the faster he ran. The more energy he drains from his other half, the stronger his body will get. The next morning, Barry wakes up and looks at himself in the mirror. "I look a little bigger," Barry thinks, as his arms and legs have gotten a little more muscular. There is at least an inch of growth around his arms and legs. "I better not push myself like that again if I don't want people to notice," Barry says, and puts on his clothes before heading to CCPD for work. At CCPD, he meets Joe and updates him on the meta he caught last night, informing him that they no longer need to worry about people ending up burnt to a crisp. Now it's Joe's turn to handle the matters internally. This will be the usual protocol until the city can develop a prison for metahumans. Until then, they will continue to be confined under Star Labs. But there is one thing still bothering Barry. Where the heck did Gerda go? Did he run away after getting his ass handed to him by the Flash? Barry didn't believe so. Is he still hiding in the sewers? Barry questions himself. "I will have to go down there and check for myself, just to make sure," Barry thinks. It's just like any other day as Barry, dressed up as the Flash, is sitting on top of a tall building, looking down at his city, when he hears Cisco on his headphones. "Barry! Bank robbery in progress at Cunningham and Sampere. Got it," Barry says, and runs down the building and straight towards the bank. The Flash runs into the Cunningham and Sampere bank and finds it in a state of chaos. People are trying to rip each other's throats out of sheer rage, punching, killing, and trying every possible method to hurt each other. Barry also sees a bullet mid-air, slowly making its way towards a man. He walks up to the bullet and grabs it with his finger. He then walks up to the blonde girl who fired the bullet and takes the gun from her hand. He then walks up to a big guy who is about to drive another guy's head into the ground in the midst of a body slam. Barry separates both of them. Barry runs around the bank, stopping everyone who is in the midst of a fight, tying their hands up with their shoelace or separating them and placing them far away so that they can't engage. After that, he runs down to the vault and finds some displaced money, meaning the robber is already on the run. Barry hits another gear, increasing his speed as he tries to find the thief. This should be that rage-inducing meta. He cannot have gone that far, Barry thinks as he checks every corner of the bank. He cannot find the thief anywhere. He couldn't have gone that far, Barry murmurs and runs out of the back. It has only been a minute since Cisco informed him about the robbery. Barry runs out, trying to find anyone carrying a bag, as so much money can't be hidden. And within seconds he finds someone carrying a stuffed bag. Barry doesn't stop to talk. Instead, he walks up to the guy, checks the content of the bag to see if it's the money stolen from the bank. His guess was right, as the bag is full of money. He grabs the guy and runs him all the way to somewhere no one can see them. Barry stops inside an alley and lets go of the man he grabbed. The man is confused, shocked, and scared. A moment ago, he was in the middle of a crowd, trying to get away. And now he finds himself in an empty alley. While the man is confused and scared, Barry too is confused, as the man before him is not the Meta he remembers from the TV show. This man is bald and not wearing any black shades to cover his eyes. The man finally turns and sees the Flash, scaring him more. "I didn't do it! It was not me!" He immediately shouts as he realizes that he got caught. "Explain yourself," the Flash says while sounding a little menacing with his vibrating throat. "It was this dude. He came up to me and told me he would give me 50% of the money if I managed to get away with it," the bald man says. "Where is he now?" Flash asks. "I don't know, man. He just handed me this bag outside the bank a few minutes ago," the man says. Seeing that he isn't going to get anywhere with this, Barry grabs the man and runs him back to the bank and ties him up next to a pole with the stolen money on him. Even though he didn't commit the robbery, he is still an accomplice. As for the people who seemed to be filled with rage a few minutes ago, they have now calmed down and now look scared and confused. Barry runs around a few blocks, see if he can find the Meta, but he has no luck. Barry is called into the bank again, but this time as Barry Allen Forensic. Barry walks up to Joe. "Busy morning, huh?" Witnesses reported seeing flashes of lightning, Joe says. "You should have seen it. Everyone in here was trying to kill each other. Luckily, I got here just in time," Barry says. "It must have been a diversion. Too bad for him you caught him before he got away," Joe says, pointing to the bald guy who is currently under police custody, yelling at the police, saying he didn't do it. "Yeah, about that. He is not our guy," Barry whispers to Joe. "What do you mean?" Joe questions. "He is just an accomplice. The guy responsible is a Meta. The Meta handed over the bag to that guy after the robbery. He escaped," Barry says. "Shit! Not another one," Joe says, frustrated. "And what does this one do?" he asks. "Well, your guess is as good as mine. He makes people angry and beat up each other," Barry says, looking around as the victims give their statements to the police. "And how does he do that?" Joe asks. "I don't know. Neurotoxin maybe. I will swab some surfaces, see what I can find," Barry says. Of course, he already knows how this Meta's power works, but he can't just say it out like that with no proof to back his claim. Barry does a few surface swabs and leaves, as there is nothing else to do. He then runs to Star Labs to update the team about this new Meta. Barry updates the team about this Meta, and how he had an entire group of people trying to kill each other by inducing severe rage in them. The team quickly begins working on the theory of how it's possible. "I don't understand. Why did the Meta offer 50% of the cash to some no-named goon when he could have gotten away with all of it?" Cisco asks, as he is confused by this Meta's methods. "Because of me," Barry says, getting everyone's attention. Now the whole world knows that the Flash exists, someone who can run at super speed, even criminals, other metahumans. They know I am fast, so they will prepare for me. This time, it was no different. He knew I would be coming, so he gave the money bag to a local goon who could be tempted, just to see how fast he would be dealt with, Barry explains. He has had some time to think this through, placing himself in the Meta's position, and came up with this theory. Now that the world knows about the Flash, the bad ones out there will try to find measures to counter him if they want something in Central City. Barry is right. Metas out there will find ways to counter Barry, so the only way to counter them would be for Barry to get faster. Dr. Wells says. That I am working on, Barry says, but he is already way faster than Dr. Wells' calculation. When the eventual face-off happens, he is going to have one hell of a breakdown. Barry returns to CCPD as he needs to finish his report on the bank robbery and hand it over to Captain Singh, or he is going to be yelled at again. As Barry works in his lab, he gets an unexpected visitor. "Hi," Felicity says with a smile as she steps into his lab. Barry gets up, surprised. He didn't expect her to come and visit, as he didn't reveal his powers to Oliver. "Felicity," Barry acknowledges her presence. "Surprise, Tilda," she says and giggles. Barry smiles and hugs her in a friendly manner. "What are you doing here?" Barry asks. "Well, something came up, and we had to come to Central City, so I thought to come here and give you a visit," Felicity says. "Wait, by something you mean," Barry says, giving her the questioning eye, to which she nods her head. "So Oliver is here too?" Barry says. "He's busy right now," Felicity says. "I'm not surprised," Barry says, smiling. "You know I am pissed at you," she says, putting on an angry face. "Why?" Barry asks. "Well, you didn't reach out after coming out of your coma. I was so worried," Felicity says. "I am so sorry. I got too caught up and then completely forgot about it. My life has changed a lot since then," Barry says. "It's okay, I forgive you." "You. By the way, have you been working out? You look bigger than last time I saw you," Felicity says, as she notices that Barry's shoulders are much wider and his arms much thicker. "Yes, the gym. I have been hitting the gym," Barry says. He isn't sure if he should tell her the truth. Even though in the show, Barry places all his trust in Felicity, he is not sure right now because this is not the TV show. It's a completely different universe with infinite variables. "Do you want coffee? Let's go for a coffee?" Barry decides to get her out of here before she starts looking around the lab, as he keeps an extra pair of his flash suit here. "Sure, let's go." After drinking coffee and catching up with Barry, Felicity leaves as Oliver needs her assistance. This gives Barry some time to think about whether he should tell Felicity and her team about his identity. There are not many cons to revealing his identity to them. As for pros, there are many. Barry and his team could get some extra help if needed, especially from Felicity, as she is a genius computer scientist. It's nighttime, and Barry is on his usual night run when he gets an alert from Cisco. "Barry, there is a report of a gunfight at a warehouse near the docks." "On my way," Barry says, and runs to the location provided by Cisco. When he gets there, he sees a bunch of goons trying to shoot a man in a green suit, jumping around, being extremely agile, and dodging and evading the shots being fired at him. While occasionally firing arrows back, taking down a few at a time, he is clearly outnumbered. It's time for the Flash to make his move. He runs in and starts dealing with the goons, all of them knocked out in a second. Surprised by the sudden silence, Oliver gets out of his cover and pulls back his bow with an arrow pointing straight at the Flash. "Whoa! Oliver, easy there." Oliver is surprised that the Flash knows his real identity. "Who are you? How do you know my name?" Oliver shouts while drawing his arrow even further. "Dude, chill, it's me." Barry stops messing with Oliver by talking in his normal voice. At first, Oliver is confused, but then it hits him. The voice, it sounds familiar. "Barry?" he questions as he lowers his bow. The Flash removes his mask, showing his face to Oliver. "You are the Flash?" Oliver asks, shocked. He never expected such a development to occur. When he thought of coming to Central City, he already had the Flash in mind. He is a vigilante entering a city that is not rotten to its core, and it's under the protection of an actual hero. He studied Flash before coming here, and unlike him, who is a cold-blooded killer, someone who ruthlessly executed justice, Flash was different. He ignited hope in people, made them feel safe. Flash is a real hero, so he didn't know how the Flash would react when a vengeful vigilante enters his city. He has seen what the Flash can do, and in no way was he delusional enough to think he could take on the Flash. Flash managed to capture Deadshot, one of the world's most notorious killers, while also saving everyone in the process. The arrow would fare no differently before a man who can run faster than the eyes can see. But now his doubts start to clear up as he can finally put a face to the man called Flash. "One and only," Barry says, smiling. "What are you doing in Central City?" Barry asks as he walks up to Oliver. Though he already has a guess, he isn't 100% sure. This is a different universe, and he doesn't remember either the Flash or Oliver coming to this warehouse in the show. Oliver is still trying to process that the happy-go-lucky guy he met a year ago is the Flash, but the more he thinks about it, the more it makes sense. Who better to be a hero than Barry, someone with a heart of gold. I am after someone. I believe he is here in Central City, Oliver says while still staring at Barry and his red suit. How? Oliver asks. The night of the particle accelerator explosion, it caused a lightning storm, and I got hit by the lightning. 9 months later, I woke up with superpowers. Barry gives a short explanation. I heard about your coma. I just didn't expect it would change you so much. Oliver says. Me too. So, what are we doing here? Barry asks. I think I should handle this myself. This man is dangerous, Oliver says. But then he realizes he is talking to a superhuman. Really? You just saw me take out more than 30 people in a second. I think I can handle a little bit of danger, Barry says. Oliver tries to say something but shuts his mouth. Instead, he focuses on one of the red freight containers. He walks up to it as Barry follows him. They arrive before the container and see a heavy-duty lock on it. Let me deal with that, Barry says, stepping in. He grabs the lock and vibrates it till the locking mechanism inside the lock gives in, unlocking the lock. Oliver is surprised once again, seeing another of Barry's abilities. Oliver opens the container door, and it's filled with bags and bags of small beads. What is this? Barry asks as he takes a bag in his hand. Looks like some kind of dense plastic material. Did you come here for this? Barry asks. Hearing Barry's words triggers a memory in Oliver's head. Felicity did say the same thing about the weapon the guy he is after used. Not this, but my hunch was close, Oliver says when both he and Oliver hear police sirens. We need to leave, Oliver says. Where's your hideout? Barry asks. Outside the city, I have a farmhouse there, Oliver says. Okay, I will meet you there, Barry says and disappears in a flash of lightning, catching Oliver off guard. But he quickly recovers and gets out of there as well before the police arrive. Barry could have taken Oliver with him, but knowing Oliver, he probably has a motorcycle somewhere hidden. Not everyone can get from one place to another in seconds by just running. They need a mode of transport. Barry runs out of Central City and soon finds the farmhouse mentioned by Oliver. He sees Felicity and John standing motionless from his perspective, waiting for Oliver to come back. Barry then stops, creating a powerful burst of wind which scares the hell out of both Felicity and John. Sup guys? Barry says. Oh my god, it's the Flash! Felicity yells while continuously striking John, who too is in a state of shock as he stares at the man in the red suit before him with wide eyes and a dropped jaw. Oops! Barry realizes that his cowl is still on, so he removes it, revealing his face to both Felicity and John. Since he already decided to reveal his identity to them, what better time than now? Barry? Felicity calls out his name as she looks at his face without the cowl on. The confusion on her face slowly starts shifting to disbelief as she begins putting the picture together. Holy shit! Of course! Why didn't I think of this before? Of course, you are the Flash. The Flash appeared right after you got out of your coma. Oh my god, I am so dumb. Sorry for my language, but holy shit! Felicity was having a mental breakdown while John continued to stare at Barry with wide eyes. Yes, I am the Flash, Barry says with a smile as he sees Felicity have a breakdown. Why didn't you say anything about it before? Felicity asks. But before Barry could even answer, she points at his cowl. Of course, you had to protect your secret identity, she says. This woman clearly understands why someone like Barry would try to hide his Flash identity. Barry didn't expect Felicity to move on so easily, but he is glad. He doesn't have to worry about trying to make her understand. Barry just hopes that if Iris ever figures out his identity, she makes light of it just like Felicity, which he doubts, but a man can hope. What are you doing here? How do you know we were here? Felicity asks. Well, I was on one of my usual runs when I was informed about some gunshots at a warehouse where I met with Oliver. Just as Barry says this, they hear the sound of a motorcycle's engine getting closer. And there he is, Barry says. Oliver drives up to the cabin and approaches the group. So why exactly are you guys here in Central City? Barry asks. Working a case, suspicious homicide in the styling where the murder weapon is a boomerang, Felicity says as she takes out a plastic bag containing a boomerang. Cool, Barry says, taking out the boomerang, and begins examining it. This is made of the same high-density plastic we found at the warehouse. Whoever you are looking for must be here to get some raw materials to make some more of these boomerangs, Barry says. You guys found something? Felicity asks. Here, Barry says, handing over a bag full of plastic beads to Felicity, earning a look from Oliver. What? I thought since you went through all that trouble fighting those guys for it, you might want a sample, Barry says. He won't say it, but I will in his stead, thank you, Felicity says, grabbing the plastic bag from Barry's hands. So what next? Barry asks. What's next is we go our own ways. I am going to catch this killer, and you go back to looking after your city, Oliver says. Oh, and I thought since you are here, maybe we could have helped each other. My team is trying to catch a metahuman that can make people angry, Barry says. Metahuman? John finally speaks up, questioning what Barry meant by metahuman. Well, that's what we call people who were affected by the particle accelerator blast and gained, you know, Borington Norse superpowers, Barry says. Cool, Felicity says, earning another glare from Oliver. Come on, Oliver, don't be a grouch. Since we are here, why don't we help Barry catch this metahuman? Felicity sides with Barry on this one. And while you guys are here, you can use the equipment in Star Labs to run some tests on this thing, Barry says, playing with the boomerang. Oliver looks at Barry, and then at Felicity, before taking a sigh. Fine. Yes. Both Barry and Felicity cheer with a high five. Having Oliver help him find this metahuman is his best option right now. Though not as skillful as Batman, Oliver is great at tracking down and hunting people. This is what he used to do. Take Felicity with you to Star Labs while I try to find something about this rage-inducing guy of yours, Oliver says. Metahuman, Felicity corrects him. I am not going to call them that. Diggs. With me, Oliver says, and leaves with John. Hold tight, Barry says, and carries Felicity in his arms. But before Felicity could even yelp in surprise, Barry is already in flash time as he carries Felicity all the way back to Star Labs. After a few seconds, he stops running as they arrive before Star Labs. Ah! Felicity finally stops her yelp. Barry puts her down. Felicity stumbles and looks around, confused. We are already here? She asks as she sees the Star Labs building before her. Holy shit! How fast can you really run? Felicity questions. I don't know. Forget about that. Let's go in. Let me introduce you to my team, Barry says, and guides Felicity into the lab. Barry's main reason for bringing Felicity here was to make her upgrade their technology. No matter how smart Cisco is, he is nowhere near the level of Felicity when it comes to matters regarding computers. Barry escorts Felicity into Star Labs and starts showing her around. She looks around, fascinated by everything in the lab, when Caitlin and Cisco approach them. Felicity, this is my team. Caitlin, Cisco, Barry says, pointing towards them. And guys, this is Felicity, a friend I made when I was in Star City, Barry says. Nice to meet you, Felicity. But before that, how much do you know about what we do here? Caitlin asks, still wary about this strange woman that Barry just brought. Oh, she knows. She is used to this type of stuff as she works for the Arrow, Barry says, out with the truth. What happened to keeping secrets? Felicity asks, giving Barry an annoyed look. Cool. Cisco is immediately hooked as he hears about Felicity working with Arrow. Ever since Cisco saw Batman, he has been obsessing over vigilantes, and the Arrow is definitely on his top list, right below Batman. Felicity is here because she wants to run some tests on something, Barry says, so that Cisco doesn't get carried away with asking personal questions. Ever since learning that Barry is now one of Batman's personal contacts, he can't stop asking Barry about Batman things, so he doesn't want the same fate to fall upon Felicity. What is it? Caitlin asks. And Felicity pulls out the boomerang and shows it to the team. Immediately, Cisco is hooked, seeing the boomerang as he is the toys guy. If anyone can figure this thing out, it's Cisco. Cisco and Felicity walk away as they immediately start bouncing off ideas with each other, leaving Barry and Caitlin alone. They look at each other and smile. The sexual spark between them has not faded even after doing it for multiple days. In fact, it has gotten stronger. So, are you free tonight? It is Caitlin who asks him, getting bolder as she misses the feeling Barry can give her whenever she finds herself alone. I will come by tonight, Barry says, smiling, making Caitlin smile as well. Well, before we get carried away, have you figured out how this new meta manages to make people so angry? Barry asks. Ah yes, I got some statements from all those bank witnesses and victims, and they all said they saw a flash of red before completely drawing a blank. I am assuming this meta induces rage via the ocular nerve, Caitlin says. Then I will make sure not to stare into his eyes, Barry says when the alarm in the lab starts going off. Also, I have been meaning to ask, how is it going with Blackout? Barry asks. Ever since Barry locked Blackout inside the meta containment cell, the team has been monitoring him, trying to help him in any way possible. We don't have an answer yet. Everything we tried has failed. The only way to keep him alive is to feed him some electricity and continue monitoring his readings. Not every metahuman is fortunate to be blessed with abilities that enhance their life, Caitlin says. Barry sighs with understanding. Not everyone can be as lucky as the Flash. Speaking of Blackout, Barry wonders if he will ever come across some of the other less fortunate metahumans he hasn't met yet, including Plastique, the meta that never appeared. Suddenly, Barry hears Felicity's scream, and a boomerang comes flying straight towards Caitlin. Barry sees the boomerang moving in slow motion, while Caitlin looks like a deer stuck in a headlight. Luckily, Barry has super speed. He grabs the boomerang before its sharp edges plunge into Caitlin's face. Cisco and Felicity run out and see that Barry has caught the boomerang and sigh in relief. "Dude, what the hell?" Barry says to Cisco. "If he were not here, Caitlin would be dead." "My bad," Cisco says. Barry is pissed, but he calms himself down. But before he could say anything, it is Caitlin who starts going ham on him, calling him out for his irresponsible action which Cisco has no defense against. Seeing that Caitlin can deal with this herself, Barry stays out of it. Felicity approaches Barry and stands next to him as they watch Caitlin yell at Cisco, treating it as a form of entertainment. "So it's Caitlin, huh?" Felicity asks. "Huh?" Barry sounds confused. "The girl you talked about back in Star City," Felicity says. "Huh, that? No, it's not Caitlin, it's someone else whom I am already over with," Barry says. "I see, well, you and Caitlin make a cute couple," Felicity says. "Well, not exactly, we are not dating," Barry says. "Ah, my bad, looks like your love life is still rocky, huh?" Felicity says, chuckling. "Well, I have come to terms with it. Being the Flash has given me a new purpose, so I am not stressing about it. I like the life I have right now," Barry says. Seeing the smile on his face, Felicity realizes that he is telling the truth, and she is happy for him. "What about you and Oliver?" Barry asks. "Same as you, no luck there," Felicity says, chuckling. "So is there anyone else?" Barry asks. "Well, I do know this guy, but it's complicated." Barry finishes her word before both burst into laughter. Barry suddenly disappears and reappears with beer bottles in his hand. Handing over one to Felicity, he cheers with her. "Cheers to our complicated love lives," he says. "Cheers," Felicity says, clanking the bottles and laughing as they watch the fiasco before them, as Caitlin and Cisco fight like brothers and sisters. The next day, Barry wakes up in Caitlin's bed. After how pissed she was at Cisco last night, she needed to blow off a lot of steam. Luckily, Barry can go all day without stopping. He eats his breakfast with her and leaves for work. When he walks into the CCPD, he meets Joe. "Good morning, Joe, what's up?" Barry asks. "I think I should be the one asking that questions. What happened at that warehouse last night?" Joe asks. "Nothing unusual, just a bunch of smugglers who got into a gunfight," Barry says. He doesn't want to tell Joe that the Star City vigilante, the Arrow, is here, looking for someone. "Don't lie to me," Joe says, giving Barry his signature questionable glare. "Why would I even lie about that?" Barry asks. "Because my men found arrows at the crime scene," Joe says. "Arrows? What were arrows doing at the crime scene?" "I don't know anything about that. I just ran in and knocked out a bunch of guys who were blasting bullets everywhere," Barry says. "And who were they shooting at? They were definitely not shooting at each other since they all belong to the same gang?" Joe continues to question Barry. Why is he always so persistent, Barry thinks. Maybe there was an infighting, Barry says. Joe gives him the glare, but seeing Barry stick to his lie, he decides to pursue this some other time. "Whatever you are hiding, I am going to find it, and you will hear from me then," Joe says. His men only found arrows and nothing else, so there is no reason to associate them with the Green Arrow, and Oliver has maintained his allure and kept himself away from the public eye. If things go well, Oliver will catch his guy and return to his city before anyone even notices him. But knowing that fate likes to screw with people like him, Barry is ready for the worst. CCPD seems more chaotic than ever. As the existence of metahumans has come forth, many unexplained cases have been reopened and assigned for re-investigation. Police officers are revisiting their cases, looking at them from new angles and finding new clues that were overlooked this past year. Barry's work also increased as newfound potential evidence kept coming through his lab's door, forcing him to use his powers to solve them at a much faster rate. It's lunchtime, but Barry continues doing his work, trying to finish everything so that he will have enough time to run around later. But his workflow gets disturbed as two people walk into his lab, Felicity and Oliver. "Felicity, Oliver, what are you doing here?" Barry asks. "Well, we were in the area and thought we would ask you to join us for lunch," Felicity says, to which Oliver nods his head. Barry looks at the pile of work still remaining, but he has super speed, so he can complete them at home if he takes them back with him. "Sure, let's go," Barry says, closing the case file he was working on. At Jitters, Iris serves Barry, Felicity, and Oliver their order, while being completely mesmerized by Oliver. "Barry, a word," she says, dragging Barry along with her. She slaps Barry's arm, offended as if he did something wrong, only to hurt herself in the process. "Your arm is getting really hard," Iris says, rubbing her hand. "Why did you slap me?" Barry asks. "How come you didn't tell me you knew Oliver Queen?" Iris says while looking at Oliver like some obsessed, lovesick girl. "Yes, I know Oliver," Barry says. "He is so dreamy Tilda," Iris says. "Control yourself, woman," Barry thinks. If she is already acting like this, seeing Oliver, Barry wonders how she will react if Bruce Wayne himself appears before her eyes. "Whoa there, calm yourself down. Remember, you are still dating Eddie," Barry says. "I know, but Oliver Queen is one of my 3 lists," Iris says. "3 lists?" Barry questions. "Guys, I am allowed to cheat on Eddie with," Iris says. Hearing this, Barry feels a little awkward because he would never let a girl he is dating ever have a hall pass. Well, it's not like he is the one dating Iris, so he has no say in what she does. "Too bad, you aren't lucky enough. He has someone he likes," Barry says. "Who? Is it Felicity?" Iris asks curiously. Barry just smiles and doesn't answer. "I think you should get back to work if you don't want to lose your only job," Barry says, and leaves her hanging. Iris grunts and goes back to serving. Barry joins Oliver and Felicity and starts talking about what's important. "So, did you find anything?" Barry asks, looking at Oliver. "Yes, I did some digging last night, and I think I have a name." "Roy G. Bivolo," Oliver says. "How did you figure it out?" Barry asks. I have my ways," Oliver says, avoiding eye contact. "I hope you didn't torture someone to get this information, ha ha ha," Barry says, as if he is making a joke, but he knows how Oliver must have gotten this name. "Ha ha." Oliver laughs awkwardly while Felicity enjoys watching Oliver's best attempt at acting innocent. "What about the boomerang? Did Cisco find anything?" Barry asks. "No luck. We had hit a dead end with it," Felicity says. "And the murderer I am looking for must have already left the city after last night's bust at the warehouse. I don't think he will stick around, knowing what he is looking for has been confiscated," Oliver says. "So it sounds like your job in Central City is done," Barry says. "It seems so. Thanks for the help, Barry, but it's time for us to leave," Oliver says. "Well, it was great having you guys over. If you need my help, just call, and I will be there in a few seconds, maybe a minute tops," Barry says, bragging with a smile. Barry was fine with Oliver leaving early. With the name of this metahuman now in possession, Barry doesn't think it will be hard for his team to track down this metahuman. It's not like he can disappear or run fast enough to avoid them, nor is this meta skilled enough, like Deadshot, to avoid being tracked down. Plus, having Oliver in the city means asking for more trouble. As the Flash, he is already a huge supervillain magnet. He suddenly doesn't want the League of Assassins or other villains that the Arrow deals with coming to Central City as well. Plus, his leaving would also get Joe off his back. Barry would have loved for them to stay and catch up as friends, but as people with secret identities fighting against world-ending villains, they can't afford that luxury. Barry has his own things to focus on, like catching this Roy G. Bivolo, and stopping him before he does something again. Barry goes to Star Labs and gives the name of the metahuman to his team, who use the new technology Felicity helped them implement to locate where the guy could be hiding. With the guy's name, they quickly found the guy's photo and ran it through facial recognition software. "Hey, we just got a ping from the facial recognition software on Bivolo, aka Prism," Cisco says, ready with a name for this metahuman. "Where is he?" Barry asks. "The traffic camera just caught him entering a residence at 168 Jarvis," Cisco says. "Alright, I am on it," Barry says. "Be careful, don't look him in his EY." Before Caitlin could even finish her words, Barry had already hit the streets, running at super speed, leaving a trail of lightning behind him. Some pedestrians managed to see a flash of lightning and realize that the Flash might have just run past them, making them excited. The Flash isn't going to waste his time, stopping and talking to a guy who can induce rage by just looking into someone's eyes. He runs into the apartment, and in an instant cases the entire building before entering a crappy dark basement where his victim is standing motionless, looking down at the map of Central City. He is planning to steal from the biggest bank in Central City, while also trying to figure out how to keep the Flash distracted. His early attempt to learn about Flash's response time almost got him caught because Flash dealt with the whole thing in a matter of minutes. If he were just a few seconds slow, it would have been him who would have been caught, and not the bum he promised to pay. Knowing he needs a much bigger distraction, something that even the Flash would get occupied with. He came up with an incredible plan. Taking inspiration from Deadshot, he is going to whammy the entire city by displaying his eyes throughout the whole city, using the billboards and screens that are everywhere. He knows this will work because he tested his powers by recording himself with a phone and then showing the recording to a homeless man, who immediately fell into a state of uncontrollable rage. He plans to hire a team of people consisting of hackers and thieves. While the entire city will be trying to kill each other and the Flash will be struggling to keep them from doing so, he and his goons will break into the bank and take everything they can. It is indeed a great plan, but he would have never thought that the Flash would be on his ass before he could even implement it. 1 second, he is looking at the map of the city. He then experiences some sort of vision shift, and the next second he finds himself locked inside a glass cage. First, it's confusing. He looks around, trying to figure out what is happening, but then he sees a man in a red suit looking at him from the other side of the glass cage, and he realizes what has just happened. "Flash, let me out! You think this will stop me? I will make you kill everyone you hold dear, and then I will personally kill you," he shouts, as the rage from the realization of being caught catches up to him. The Flash just smiles as the metal door closes, trapping Prism in his temporary jail cell, until the city builds its own. "Nice work, guys," Barry says as he appears in the cortex with a flash. "Did you catch the meta?" Caitlin asks. "Check the cell," Barry says. Cisco checks the cell and finds a few faces amongst the ones that were caught before. "Dude, awesome! You are getting really good at this," Cisco says. "Well, I am just too fast. The only thing I have to do is just grab them, run them all the way here, and lock them before they can even do anything," Barry says. "Like Dr. Wells would say, efficient work," Cisco says. "Speaking of Dr. Wells, where is he? I haven't seen him all day," Barry says as he finally notices his absence. "Now that you mention it, neither have I. What about you?" Cisco looks at Caitlin. Caitlin shrugs her shoulders, indicating that she too hasn't seen Dr. Wells all day. While Caitlin and Cisco might not think much of it, Barry, on the other hand, is worried. This is the reverse Flash we are talking about. His being absent all day is not a good sign. He is definitely up to something. Speed. There is no being in the universe that can match me in it. No other speedster can keep up with me. Not even the god of speed, Hermes. And why am I so confident in my claim as the fastest being alive? Because I am the other half of the speed force. A physical embodiment of a force so vast in size that even greater infinites can't contain it. It now transcends dimensions, no longer limited to the laws of this multiverse, and I am the other half of this entity, but far more human in nature. Something I cherish deeply because I can let it all go and truly become a god, no longer restricted by human desires. But would such an existence bring joy? I do not know, and I do not want to know. Because once I take that step, I might never wish to become human again, and that scares me. So I will continue to live like this, as Barry Allen, the fastest being in all of existence, and continues to be human, an anchor for good against the forces of evil. Because without taking a stance for good, this multiverse might not survive, as almost all cosmic entities similar to me are too neutral in nature, and the ones who only seek destruction. There has to be someone to stand up to these beings, and only a being such as I can do so. Today is just another day for me, running around, keeping this city safe. But I know that a greater danger always looms over the head of every being on this planet, and there will be days I won't just run for Central City, but for the entire multiverse itself. The year is coming to an end, and Christmas is right around the corner. People of Central City are in a festive mood. The streets have been adorned with lights, and you can find Christmas trees inside every household. Barry is in his usual clothes, walking around the city, watching people have smiles on their faces. It has become one of his favorite pastimes. After he became the Flash, the crime rate has dropped significantly, making the people of this city much happier, or at least what he likes to believe. Barry has the freedom to run as fast as he can, test more of his powers, and so he begins running again, to see what more he can do, to see what more he can achieve. Barry knows he can run as fast as he wants, but what else? How can he break the time barrier? How can he break the space barrier? Because in the TV show, Barry never reached light speed. Even when running at a speed just a little faster than the speed of sound, Barry managed to break the barrier of speed and time. But the Barry now can run faster than anyone. If anyone should be able to master space, time and dimensions, it would be him, as he is the Speed Force. So he runs, breaking the sound barrier, leaving behind a trail of lightning. Tapping into his origin, his true power. He feels the space, time, and dimensions that surround him, use his powers, feel them, touch them, and pass through them. And before he knows it, he sees space and time before him distort, twist, tear, and then form a wormhole. Freaking did it, Barry says with a smile and runs right into it. Barry finds himself inside the space-time vortex, running through it with no effort, no backlash. It is as if he belongs here. He is connected to it through his origin. He has access to it whenever he wishes it to be. He is its master, something he can command as he pleases. But Barry doesn't let this feeling of unlimited power consume him. At his core, he needs to be human. He cannot forsake it, because the moment he does, he will become like every other cosmic entity out there. Boom! With the loud bang, Barry exits the space-time vortex and finds himself in the middle of a small old town that is in ruins. Where the hell am I? Barry questions as he looks around, standing between broken buildings. The air smells like gunpowder, and a sense of dread is lingering around. I got distracted, Barry thinks as he recalls running through the space-time vortex. Since it was his very first time experiencing it, the overwhelming feeling of power that just washed over him made him lose his focus. So now he has ended up somewhere he has no idea about. But Barry isn't too worried about it. He can always find his way back. He just needs to tap into his origin and run back. His powers give him limitless potential and options. Barry can leave everything behind and become a dimensional traveler if he wishes to. But let's first figure out where I am, Barry murmurs when he notices 4 people walk out of an alley holding guns, and as soon as they see Barry, they aim their guns at Barry, shout, and then started shooting without even bothering to question him. Barry is surprised by the sudden aggression. The world around him slows down as he sees the bullets slowly making their way towards him. He can literally see the bullets breaking the sound barrier as they approach him. But Barry isn't concerned. He instead focuses on the 4 men who just shot at him. They look like common soldiers as they are wearing field grey color uniforms. One of them is wearing a steel helmet, while the other 3 are wearing field caps. You gotta be kidding me, Barry thinks as he realizes who these soldiers really are. The bullets finally reach Barry, so he begins grabbing them out of the air one by one. Since they are using submachine guns, Barry had to deal with a lot of bullets, but with his speed, it's child's play. The German soldiers continued shooting at the man in the weird red suit, but the more they shot at him, the more horrified they became, as they realized that none of their bullets were touching the man. The soldiers ran out of ammo as they unloaded everyone at the man in the weird red suit, and now their guns are hot and smoking. Barry has one of his hands straight before him as the soldiers watch him, dumbfounded. He then opens his palm, and the bullets that he snatched off mid-air start hitting the floor like pearls of a ripped necklace. This scares the shit out of the German soldiers. They immediately try to reload their guns, while keeping their eyes on the man in the weird red suit, who they think is the devil, when he suddenly disappears right before their eyes. The soldier in the steel helmet suddenly sees 3 of his comrades immediately hit the floor, and the man in the weird red suit standing right before him. His eyes widen with horror as his iris contracts. "Damon!" he shouts in fear while trying to retreat. "Yeah, not exactly, and sorry, but this is going to hurt a little," Barry says, grabbing the gun, pointing its muzzle to the side with his superior strength, and then punching the soldier as lightly as possible to knock him out. Barry looks at the 4 unconscious German soldiers and wonders what he should do with them. Should he have directly killed them, as these soldiers could be as cruel as they were described in history books? But who can trust history books? These soldiers could be perfectly innocent men who were forced into this war, like most people. But of course they did open fire on him without bothering to question him, but he can also give them the benefit of the doubt, as he is wearing a red full-body suit that would make him look like the devil to these people. Let's tie them up for now and come back later, Barry thinks, and gets it done in a flash. Suddenly, he hears more shots being fired and people screaming from afar. Well, since I am already involved, there is no point going back now, Barry thinks and runs towards the chaos. He is going to save as many lives as he possibly can. Barry's surroundings instantly change as he moves from one place to another in an instant and finds himself in the middle of a fight. Bullets are flying everywhere, men are shouting, while local civilians are trying to run back to the shelter of their homes. In the midst of all this chaos, Barry's eyes fell on a woman who was the center of attention right now. Long wavy black hair, beautiful blue eyes, a tall, lean, muscular physique. She has a tiara made of special metal around her forehead, long bracelets made out of the same metal around her forearms, a strong red bustier consisting of the same metal acting as breastplate armor around her breasts, and a loose blue leather skirt with the same unique metal that goes around her waist and on the sides to provide her a mix of mobility and defense. She also has armored knee pads and metal-reinforced boots to protect the rest of her legs. With an armor in one hand and the sword in the other, she is plowing through the horde of men that are rushing towards her. Barry immediately recognizes this woman, seeing her in her iconic outfit. "Why do I feel like I always end up before a new character whenever I try to let loose?" Barry says with a sigh. Seeing Wonder Woman in action, Barry now knows where he is. The current timeline is of World War II, and Barry has run himself right in the middle of a historic combat zone. Wonder Woman, named Diana of Themyscira, is showing her skill in the field of combat. As a demigoddess, how can regular men with just guns ever harm her? Trained for combat since a very young age, and that too for hundreds of years, she is showing her finesse on the battlefield, taking down one man after the other. Seeing that Diana has everything under control on the fighting part, Barry decides to save the people first. He moves faster than anyone on the battlefield, running up to people who are closest to danger. He runs up to these people and gets them as far away as possible, safe from the battle. As Diana continues with her rampage, she sees a piece of rock hurtling towards a little girl. Panic flashes in her eyes as she sees this. She tries to run towards the girl, but a bullet comes flying right towards her, forcing her to defend herself, slowing her down a little. She realizes that she cannot make it towards the little girl, who is standing there helplessly. She feels powerless when suddenly she sees a flash of lightning as a man in a red suit runs past her. The man turns his head to look at her, and she looks at him. She looks into the man's eyes and sees lightning flash in them, as if they belong to Zeus himself. She sees this man move faster than anyone she has ever seen before. As if the god of speed, Hermes himself, is right before her eyes. She sees lightning surround him that contains power similar to divinity, but it's not the divinity she is familiar with. She sees this man easily make his way towards the girl, and before she knows it, the man disappears with the girl. Confused, Diana looks around and sees flashes of lightning everywhere. She sees innocent people disappearing right before her eyes, and in those flashes of lightning, she sometimes manages to see the silhouette of the man. Understanding what is happening, she goes back to fighting the people. She realizes that she doesn't have to be distracted anymore. She can put all her focus on defeating the enemies. With that, Diana becomes more aggressive, tossing people around, grabbing massive tanks and hurling them towards other tanks, running into armored vehicles and sending them flying up in the air. Like a one-woman army, she rains down hell on the German soldiers, and before you know it, the last soldier falls. But just when she thought it was all over, a bullet comes right towards her from a high angle. It's too close for her to swing her hand at it and deflect it. The only thing she can do is move her head a little and let the bullet graze past her. A little cut to the face won't matter to her. She has suffered much more brutal injuries while under the tutelage of her teacher, Antiope. But just as the bullet is about to touch her face, she sees the red blur surrounded by lightning again as he grabs the bullet, stopping it from touching her, before running towards the soldier who shot at her. Diana quickly turns and watches the streak of lightning go all the way up the tall tower and come back down in an instant. She finally manages to get a good look at the man who helped her deal with these German soldiers, as he stands before her with the unconscious soldier in his hand. "That's the last one, I think," Barry says, dropping the soldier to the ground. He looks at Diana, and Diana looks at him. Few seconds of silence last between them, which is suddenly disturbed by a bunch of guys rushing to Diana's side. "Hey, back off! Don't come any closer," a handsome blonde man says, pointing his gun at Barry. Barry looks at the man. He doesn't recognize him. But if he follows the story of Wonder Woman, the man beside her should be Steve Trevor, the very first man Diana met in her life, and also her very first love. Of course, this is just Barry's guess. "Whoa there, buddy, no need to be aggressive. I just helped you guys deal with this bunch. I mean no harm," Barry says, lifting his hand. He really has nothing to be concerned about, as this is not the first time someone has pointed a gun at him. "Stand down, Steve. This is an ally. He helped these people more than any of us," Diana says, sounding regal. And her words hold true. As soon as Barry stepped in, not a single life was put in jeopardy. He managed to save everyone without putting a scratch on them. And Diana, as an honorable warrior, saw him do it with her own eyes. Even though she just saw glimpses in time, she knows for certain that without this man, there might have been some casualties. Even though she doesn't know who this man is, she admires him for his decision to save people first. My name is Diana of Themyscira, Princess of the Amazons. Who are you, hero? Diana asks. Barry takes off his cowl, revealing his face, and introduces himself. I am the Flash, and I am the fastest man alive. Barry introduces himself with a smile. Flash? Is that your name? Diana asks as she looks at the handsome man who has just unmasked himself. No, it's Barry Allen. You can call me that if you like, Barry says. It's an honor to meet you, Barry Allen, the Flash. Tell me, are you perhaps blessed by Hermes? Diana inquires. No, I am not. Never met the guy, Barry says. Then how are you able to move so fast? Diana asks, still mesmerized by how fast Barry was moving around the battlefield. I think that's a discussion for some other time. Can someone tell me where we are right now? Barry asks. We are as clueless as you. We need to talk to the locals before we figure out anything, the blonde man says while still being wary of Barry, as he should be. Barry just appeared right before him out of nowhere. Even though he has seen some weird stuff these past few days related to Diana, it is still weird seeing a man appear out of thin air in a flash of lightning. As the group talked, the people of the village, who were already in hiding, started coming out, surrounding Diana and Barry as they saw everything that had just happened. They saw Diana tossing the German soldiers around with ease and defeating them. They didn't see Barry particularly in action as he was moving too fast, but there were instances in which Barry had slowed down enough to form a blurry silhouette of a man. The villagers look at Diana and Barry with awe and reverence, as they have been saved. Even Steve and his ragtag group were acknowledged by the people for putting their lives on the line and saving them. Few hours have passed, and Diana manages to get some information from the townspeople as she speaks almost all languages. They are currently in a village called Veld. Steve, who Barry can now confirm that it's the same man he thought him to be, calls his secretary to get more accurate information about where they are and what to do next. This call also informs the group that the German High Command is just a mile away, and a gala is being held there by Ludendorff, the bad guy Diana's group is after. Even though Steve was warned by his superiors not to go to the gala, he doesn't plan to follow the order. Barry watches everything unfold with curiosity. He is an outsider here who has no stake in this matter. The less he involves himself in the matters of the past, the less it will impact the future. But Barry doesn't know if he will stick to this rule, because if he is needed, he is going to step up. It's nighttime, and the village people are in an elated mood as they finally have a chance to breathe with ease. No longer oppressed and living under the fear of German soldiers, the village is lit up in festivity. There is music playing and people dancing. Barry, Diana and Steve are sitting before a fountain, talking to each other. Wait! You are telling me you are from the future? Steve asks, giving Barry a confused, dumbfounded look. Yes, I am, Barry answers. He didn't bother hiding the fact that he is from the future as he is talking to Wonder Woman, and in the future, they will meet again. How is that even possible? Do you have something like a time machine? Steve asks, extremely curious. No. My powers allow me to run very fast, which gives me the ability to break through the space-time barrier. I was doing just that when I ended up here, right in the middle of World War II, Barry says. Wait, if you are from the future, who wins? Steve asks. I think it's best to keep that information to myself, Barry says. I don't believe you. I think you are lying, Steve says. He still doesn't believe that Barry is from the future. You have no problem fighting beside a demigoddess. You saw me move faster than your eyes can see, and you have a hard time believing in time travel? Barry asks, smiling. Wait, how do you know I am a demigoddess? I never told anyone about it to anyone, Diana suddenly asks. Well, we will be friends in the future, fighting beside each other, Barry says. Will be? Diana asks. Well, from the time I'm from, we have not met yet, Barry says. Then how do you know we will be friends in the future? Diana asks. I am a time traveler, remember? Barry says. He almost slipped up there, but he found a nice excuse. Diana stares and nods her head. Suddenly, one of Steve's friends approaches him and drags him to drink, leaving Diana and Barry alone. Barry sees the way Diana is looking at Steve and feels a little sorry for her. Do you think you will be able to handle it? Barry asks, getting Diana's attention. What do you mean? Diana asks. Falling in love with a mortal. I can see the way you look at him, Barry says. Diana looks back at Steve. He is going to age, get old, and one day die. Do you think you will be able to live through it? Barry asks. I never give it any thought. What about you? Are you an immortal too? Diana asks. I am, Barry says. Then how do you handle it? How do you love someone who is mortal? Diana asks. I do not know. The only thing I know is that I have spent eternity alone, and I can do it again if I have to. Loving someone will just be a small part of it, Barry says. Diana looks at Barry and finds his words very complex. She doesn't understand what he means by spending an eternity alone, but she can feel that he didn't lie about it. That sounds awful, Diana says. It does, but we are immortals. We will meet new people, make new friends, and make new happy memories with them. Everything has its pros and cons. We just have to be the ones to carry those good memories with us forever, Barry says. I think I understand what you mean, Barry Allen, Diana says, making Barry chuckle. So how do you plan to do once you reach the German High Command? Barry asks, changing the subject. To kill Ares and stop this war once and for all, Diana says. And you believe that this Ludendorff is Ares himself? Barry asks. Yes, Diana says. Are you sure? Barry asks. I am. But why does it sound like you doubt my words? Diana says. Well, because I think you do not understand people very well. Don't take this the wrong way. But your outlook on people is very one-sided. This Ludendorff, whom you believe to be Ares, might just be an evil man who seeks destruction, Barry says. Why would any man seek destruction for no reason? Only Ares, the god of war, seeks it because it's his purpose, Diana says. And that is why I say your outlook on man is naive. People are not inherently good or evil. They have the ability to do both, and it's the choice they make that makes them good or evil. Barry says. Then what about you, Barry Allen? You say people have both good and evil in them, so why don't I sense any evil in you? Your light is the purest one I have ever seen, Diana says. Barry smiles and shakes his head. No, I do have evil in me, but every time I do something, I make an active choice not to do evil. That doesn't mean I can't. And just like me, there are men out there who make an active choice to do evil, Barry explains to her. But why? What can being evil grant them? Diana asks. Money, power, whatever one wishes. When one is greedy and selfish, it comes at the expense of someone else. And some people would rather have it all for themselves than give it to someone else. It's human nature, and I think even gods are not immune to it, Barry says. Diana doesn't have an answer to Barry, but his words do make her give it some thought. After coming out of Themyscira, she has seen the world of men, and she has seen many things that confused her. But now Barry's words make her give it some more thought. She was brought up to believe that men were created by Zeus to be just, wise, strong, and passionate. But she has encountered many men who don't fit this description. What will you do if this Ludendorff is not Ares as you believed? Barry asks. Diana doesn't have an answer. Barry sees that his questions might have put Diana in a dilemma, so he decides to stop asking questions. Luckily, Steve comes back and asks Diana for a dance. She looks at Barry, and he signals her to go with Steve. As immortals, we should make the most of the people who are in our lives, Barry says. Diana smiles with a nod and leaves with Steve. Barry watches the couple dance, while he himself is wondering what he should do. Seeing Diana with Steve has also made him confront his own immortality. He begins to realize that the friends he has right now won't be with him in the next century. He will have to carry on living. He begins remembering his own words he spoke to Diana. Barry knows he is ready for the years to come, as he has already spent eternity trapped inside the Speed Force and didn't go insane. If he can survive that, he can survive his own immortality.
And that concludes this episode. If you enjoyed it, I'd seriously love it if you guys could leave a like on the video, as it genuinely helps out so much, and it keeps me going, plus it takes only 1 second. That said, have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.